Traveling the Vortex. This is Sylvester McCoy, and I'm listening to Travel the Vortex. Although there might be tangents ahead. Da-dee-da-da-da-da.
Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and landed episode number 146. And if I were to catalog this open, I would file it under imagination, lack of. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
Good.
Doing good.
It's a good week. It's a
very good week
to be a Who fan.
Why is it a good week to be a Who fan?
It's a good week to be a Who fan. Well,
because we watched Ghostlight.
There's that, and there's talk of more regenerations. So I don't know. There might have been a little bit of news out this week.
Should we talk about the elephant in the room?
We will.
When we get to news.
Yeah, when we get to news.
What did you guys do this week?
What we did. I watched some new episodes of Doctor Who that I had never seen before. But I'll talk about that in a little bit.
So did I.
I was off Monday.
Yes, you were.
And then I was off Friday.
Yes, you were.
And then I'll be off again tomorrow.
How was Monsters University?
It was good. Really enjoyed it.
Really good?
It doesn't have as many laughs as the first one. It's funny, but it doesn't have as many laughs as the first one. But it has just as much heart.
Oh,
and that was
good.
the important thing about it. And it's really, really good. And there's some nice nods to, the future. They drop these little, things in there that you go, yeah, I know about that. I know about that. So that was really cool. It was really, really well done for a prequel, and everybody in it was fantastic. So that was movie night Friday, and then Saturday, my nephew's birthday. They live in Kansas City, and so they weren't having their party until 4:30. So we decided we have a Groupon, which if anybody knows what a Groupon is you buy it online for basically half the cost of what it would really be, to a pumpkin patch in Kansas City called KC Pumpkin Patch. So we went over there. We ate lunch in Lawrence, and then went over to KC Pumpkin Patch and spent the day there. And it's really cool because they've got a lot of things for the kids to do and play and slides. And of course, we went to a pumpkin patch and did everything except for buy pumpkins because we didn't want to haul them all the way back to Topeka. But
you can buy pumpkins here.
Exactly, that was my thought. And that gives us a chance to go to our pumpkin patch one time if we decide to between now and
Which
Halloween. We usually go to Myers.
Oh, do you go to Myers?
Yeah, or Lambert's, whatever it will be this year. I think they always switch back and forth. But I'd go to Gary's Berries, but it's so expensive, and it's pretty much all the same stuff that we did at Casey Pumpkin Patch. Actually, I think it would dwarf Gary's Berries.
The only other one would be Reese's. They have a pumpkin patch.
Where's Reese's at?
Highway 24.
Where?
Reese's Fruit Farm.
Yeah.
It's on.
Reese's. Okay, I got
Reese's,
you. Yes, and Mason and I actually went there a few years ago when he was in preschool.
And they have a hayrack ride up to the pumpkin patch.
Caitlin and I went there when she was in preschool. I do remember that.
We were going to go
I thought
on
that
Saturday.
was kind of lame too. I mean, it's cool because it's just a pumpkin patch,
Yeah,
so that's what's neat.
Yeah.
And they have a hayrack ride, but
We were going to go Saturday, but Audie's allergies were acting up. So
that's
it wouldn't have been good to go to a farm and hay and.
then my nephew's birthday party in the evening, and then came home. We didn't really do much today. I watched some missing Doctor Who episodes today. Again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hooked a little bit.
Well, it might be it might be just it's the shiny newness and the atmosphere and the excitement of it. But I don't know. I'll talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
But I'm excited to be off another day tomorrow. And then I'm off again Friday. And then I'm off again the next Monday.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. I caught up on Sleepy Hollow. It show's surprisingly good.
Is it? I've heard a lot of great things
It's
about
it's really enjoyable. Okay. What do you think the show's about?
I don't care. It's written by those guys that did Lost.
Who also have done other stuff.
Yeah, like that Star Trek movie I didn't like.
And the first Star Trek movie you did?
They're entitled to one slip up. I would say it's about the legend of Sleepy Hollow, not necessarily about the Horseman.
Nope, it's more about the Horseman. Because he's one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And that's how they worked it. And so Ichabod and the lieutenant woman are the two witnesses of Revelation. So they're fighting off demons in a 7-year tribulation. So they kind of set that bar high on Fox. But it got renewed for a second season, so that's when I decided, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I've really enjoyed it so far. Sean does not look impressed.
I'm not impressed. I'm just down on the whole, let's take a classic storybook idea and try and put a new spin on it, because it feels like it's such a tired idea anymore. I mean, we've had Once Upon a Time. This
I think is a bit more creative of a way to do it.
That's what I was about to say, because
it's not Once Upon a Time.
But we've had Grimm.
It's not Grimm.
Well, but here's the thing.
Grimm's very different.
But Grimm and Once Upon a Time, they are fairy tale worlds crossing over into reality. The difference, I think, with Sleepy Hollow is
the entire thing.
It's not even so much that. Yes, I agree.
There's
Alice in Wonderland.
But
that's been done too.
They're taking a legend.
No, the movie.
They're taking a legend and presuming it really happened in the past, and they've been transported to the future. So it's a little different, because instead of taking fairy tale, you're taking a legend.
Yeah, and see, normally I would like something like that, but I'm just kind of burned out on the whole fairy tale legend business, and the writing team doesn't excite me at all. And giving them a show, and then giving them a show on Fox is kind of like, well, you actually think you're going to get 2 seasons out of this? It's science fiction on Fox. You are so screwed. But
to be fair to Fox, they have a track record with them already, because they work on Fringe together.
Fringe
which
only
lasted 5 years.
Oh, I thought it was 4. Is it 5?
It was 4 or 5.
Yeah, but here's
longer than you'd expect Fringe to last.
Is
on
J.J.
Fox.
Abrams executive producing it?
I believe so.
Okay, that's why. Fox is going to throw money at anything. No,
JJ's not executive producing Sleepy Hollow. Okay. JJ's executive producing Revolution, which should be canceled.
Well, they're going to throw money at anything J.J. Abrams is behind. Why? Because it keeps him off other networks. That's the sole point of it. It doesn't matter if it's successful or not. They do not want another network to have the next Lost, whether it's good or bad. They don't care. So they will happily dump money into whatever comes along, which is why you got Alcatraz and why you got all these other shows that just kind of fizzled and didn't do anything.
Yeah, I think
sure, we'll do that.
I think his contract's run out.
Yeah,
because now he's over on NBC.
What are you doing? Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm not poo-pooing all over your show. I'm glad you like it.
It's a lot better than Revolution, and I watched a whole season of that.
I'm also horribly jealous because I don't get to watch TV.
Or any other singer like that. It's not for you. You don't got to do it.
Oh, that's what you were doing. Oh, there's that. Yeah.
But other than that's what I did during the week, because I was like 4 episodes behind. And yesterday we purchased some vinyl figures.
The saga of the vinyls.
The saga of the vinyls. We were only going to get 2, and then we ended up getting the Vashta and Davros, which I thought was cool. I was happy with that. Sarah was not.
You seemed very happy with the Davros. Sarah was not happy with Davros.
I think she was more angry about the Vashta Narada, because she thought that was going to be David Tennant. She thought the Davros was going to be
Well, if you look at them, they're about the same size.
Yeah.
Same build.
But so we bought 2 more and got the TARDIS and David Tennant.
Well, I told her just to paint it orange and it would be David Tennant in spacesuit. She wasn't happy with that solution.
Skeletal face.
Well, you blank that out.
And then I also picked up the Beginnings box set and Time Warrior. Cheap at a used store.
Not mine.
What?
Not mine.
Not yours. And just did some running around today. Got my oil changed. Went over to my mom's yesterday and helped her clean out some shrubage from the...
A shrubbery!
Is that the word for... Is that the
that's the
international sign for
because
shrubage?
That's what I was doing.
Shrubage?
I was reaching over a fence and using the clippers to cut the bushes away from the neighbors, off the neighbors'
We
fence.
require a shrubbery.
A shrubbery! And I answered her gently. So I look forward to hearing what she thinks of that.
Oh, sorry, Keith. I totally remembered. I watched, Holly and I watched Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Oh, what'd you think?
Wow.
Good,
loved
isn't it?
Absolutely loved it. Phenomenal film.
I would highly recommend the book, too.
I will purchase that. I don't know if I'll get around to reading the book, but I will purchase that.
Well,
movie.
whenever you want to read the book, as long as you don't crack the spine, I have a copy.
Is it a paperback?
It is a paperback,
Nah,
but it's a large paperback. It's
not going to bother.
It's a large paperback. It's easier not to crack the spine than a smaller one.
No, because you don't understand how guilt-riddled I'd be if I accidentally cracked the spine.
The library should have several copies,
Yes,
too.
I'm sure they do.
And it's not a long book. It's really thin. Sarah and I
phenomenal film.
are about almost 2 hours into Lincoln,
Oh,
the Spielberg
Spielberg
film. Yeah.
2 hours, man.
Yeah. We only had about 2 hours of time to watch it, so that's how much we watched.
I do this on my own. I can't do this with Holly, but I do this. They do that on my own. But my least favorite thing to do is to say, "Well, I've got 2 hours, so I'll watch 2 hours of this movie and finish it later."
I'm not a big fan of it.
I hate
that.
I hate leaving it.
I always like to try to find those blocks where you have more time available.
But when it's a
But I really do.
2:30,
That's
2
not
hours
bad for a movie.
well, compared to
these
The
days.
Hobbit.
See, there are exceptions to that rule, and that's if you're going to do the extended Lord of the Rings, in which case I have 2 hours now. I guess I'll start this.
Speaking of The Hobbit, I'm going to segue just a little bit here. I went through this thing where I saw the previews for The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, and I kept looking at the previews going, it's got Martin Freeman, it's a Middle-earth film, so it's appealing, but gosh, do I really want to run out and see it in the theater? And so I waited, and I saw it on DVD. I just couldn't get thrilled by seeing it, the previews to go to see it in the theater. And then I saw it on DVD. It was phenomenal. It was so good. I really
was
enjoyed
the same
it.
way.
And now I'm seeing the previews for Decimation Smog, and I'm back to the same. I don't know what this is. Are they selling it poorly? Is that what's happening?
I don't know.
Because I'm seeing these, and I just admitted that the film was phenomenal. I should be excited about the next one, but I keep seeing the previews for it and going, I don't know if I can bring myself to pay $10 to go see it in theater when I can wait for DVD.
What is it about that trailer that you're not excited about? That head
there's-
coming around
This
the
there's
one,
at
pillar?
least
this one's more. The
trailers
newest
now.
trailer is more exciting to me.
There's at least 3 trailers I've seen now that are all different, and I don't
Maybe
get
it's-
that. I got to go see this feeling like I do in a lot of films. Anyway,
I guess I haven't
it's
seen
a
the proper
mystery.
trailers then, because I've only seen the one that's,
There's a new one where you actually hear Smog.
Yeah, that's the
Smaug.
one I saw. You
Smaug.
probably hear Benedict Cumberbatch. We saw that it. I got it right.
If you did.
We saw that at work, didn't we? Because you said
Yeah,
you commented about it.
I watched it at work at least.
Maybe I watched it right after you did.
I think you did.
That's what we do at work.
we
After 7 o'clock.
we have
Yeah.
we have really deep
Everybody else is
discussions
gone.
about what was it Drew asked me the other day. He says, so okay, who would win between Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson in his prime? And we were like, well, okay. And we kind of came down 50-50. Half of us thought that it would be Iron Mike, and half of us thought that it would be Ali.
I'm
And
kind of
Both in
surprised
their
that
prime,
conversation
yeah, both
went
in the
down
prime,
and went to
obviously.
stop.
Well, he's dead now, so that wouldn't be a very fair fight.
Who's dead?
Ali,
Did Ali finally die? I don't think so.
didn't he?
I
he
don't
did.
think he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Either way, it wouldn't be a very fair fight. So, yes, both in their prime. I'd still put my money on Iron Mike. I know Ali was the.
Ali is still alive.
Is he
Yeah,
still
I thought he
alive?
was.
Okay. I stand corrected. Not yet dead.
I thought that would be huge. I mean, I would have thought I'd remembered that. That would have been huge news.
But yeah, I'd put money on Iron Mike. I think to win that one if he could catch him, because he'd only need one hit. But then that segued into who would win in between the Enterprise and a Star Destroyer. But we decided, that's already been fought over, and that's no fun to do that one. And so I said, okay, well, what if it was a Star Destroyer versus the Battlestar Galactica?
That's a bit more fair of a fight.
Everybody went, ooh. So we literally spent 2 hours in between helping customers discussing the merits of who would win that fight.
The Battlestar would run away easier
See,
because you can do the jumps.
James kind of figured. Well, this is we're going to go. We're not. You don't get to fight the Executor.
Well,
It's
that's not fair.
We're doing the Avenger. We're doing the classic New Hope Star Destroyer Password Hit, and we're doing classic series Battlestar.
Did they? I haven't watched classic series Battlestar. What kind of capabilities do they have compared
I don't
to
know.
what the new
They
series?
apparently the ship burst into flames randomly throughout the episode, throughout the series. So
That's not a fair fight
Very
either.
reliable ship.
yeah, but I honestly I think it'd be a lot closer than most people give it credit for. Now I think in the dogfight, because they're both aircraft carriers, basically.
Yeah.
You know, but I think in the dogfighting, I think you'd have to give the edge to the
what-
TIE fighters. The TIE fighters are much faster and much more maneuverable than the Vipers. But if you went with
The Vipers look cooler, though.
the Vipers do look cooler. If you went with new
They
series
don't look like bow
Battlestar,
ties.
I totally would give that edge to the Vipers because they've got the machine gun bullets that they just kind of go and just spray everywhere, and the TIE fighters would run into them accidentally, and you know.
Knock off one of those wings and lose their stabilization and spin.
Spinning into circles and stuff like that. But I think the two capital ships, I think, would have a good old slugfest. Be like pirates and cannons and stuff. That's what I did.
Anything else you did this week?
What else do we do? Mel and I watched Psycho. Gearing up for making her watch Hitchcock. Because I'm really on that movie right now. It's so good. So I made her sit down and watch it, and she really liked it. But it kind of helps to have Psycho as a frame of reference. Yeah. Have you
Makes
seen
sense.
A refresher.
Seen Psycho. I haven't seen Hitchcock
haven't
yet.
seen-
Yeah, I've seen Psycho a lot. That's one of my
It's been a
favorite
long time
films.
since I've seen it, so I'm going
One
to
of my
rewatch it
favorite
too.
films.
I really think...
That's one of those films that I put in once a year.
I really think... Well, it kind of fit in with our...
Halloween?
Not necessarily. Sometimes it'll be in my Halloween fare, but
we kind of figured it fit in with our, Halloween movies. But, yeah, that's another movie I think they marketed badly. Because hello, Hitchcock, but it's not really... It's the making of Psycho.
yeah, it's a little. piece
That's
of
the
his life.
slice of his life that they chose to focus on. So, you're going to laugh at me. I did not know that Psycho was based on Ed Gein.
On what?
Ed Gein,
The serial killer.
the serial killer from Wisconsin or Minnesota, wherever he
I don't
was.
remember who it was
The
from.
original story.
The guy that wrote the book
Oh,
based
okay.
that on Ed Gein.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that. Apparently, Hitch was a little obsessed with Ed Gein for a while.
Really?
Because he had done an episode of...
See, I've read the book.
Presents.
I had no idea that that's who that was.
Yeah. He'd done an episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents about Ed Gein, and then when he got Psycho and realized that was also about Ed Gein, he kind of...
I'll be done.
I thought that was interesting. But yeah, so we watched
It's a
that.
shame Netflix only has a crappy remake.
If you're going to remake a movie, don't do it shot by shot. Don't
You
use
know,
a shooting script. I mean, I guess the
The-
best thing that came out of that is they proved that you shouldn't do that.
The only reason that I can applaud that movie at all is just the idea of to say, yeah, we did it. I mean, that's what
I'm saying.
It's
the
more
only
of a
good thing that comes out of that is that they proved that you shouldn't do that.
yeah, but I mean, it has no real artistic value, no real merit. The marketing
Exactly.
campaign was genius, but
It was.
it,
Sold me to go see it.
it just it's almost better as a film experiment, a college film experiment. Okay, let's do the shooting script and let's send a bunch of people in to try and remake this. And it just
I would have
happened.
had more appreciation for it had that been what it was.
But just instead it's Gus Van Sant, and I was trying to explain it to Mel that it was this, and Vince Vaughn. She goes, "Wait a minute, which one's Vince Vaughn?"
yeah, I know.
The goofy guy that hangs out with Owen Wilson. Oh my God, he's Norman.
It's the most different I've ever seen Vince Vaughn in a role.
Well, it's the first time he
Ever.
acts. I'll say that. Because I think everything else Vince Vaughn is he's Vince Vaughn. He's just playing himself. But
Speaking of Owen Wilson, did you guys see the video of Tom Hiddleston?
Were we speaking of Owen Wilson?
He said,
I said he's the
Hey,
goofy
he's-
guy that hangs out with Owen Wilson.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I was going, wow, that came out of left field.
have you seen the video of Tom Hiddleston?
Actually, it used to be the goofy guy that hung out with John Favreau, but they did a bunch of
Yeah,
films
that's
together.
true.
But anyway, sorry.
Tom Hiddleston did an impression of Owen Wilson as Loki, doing the speech from Avengers. It's really good.
That sounds hilarious.
Yeah, wrap your brain around it.
Tom Hiddleston, who was Loki, doing Owen Wilson,
Yes.
Playing Loki.
playing Loki.
That sounds
Look it up.
hilarious.
It's
That
on
sounds
YouTube.
hilarious.
It's really, really good. He does a really good Owen Wilson.
And what else happened? James introduced me to a group of guys that get history almost as wrong as we do. Which I didn't think was possible, but they're out there. It's apparently called Drunken History.
Oh my gosh! Oh,
you
it's on
seen
Comedy
these?
Central now. I used to watch it when it was on Funny or Die.
That's
I've
where
all
you
the
I've
should
time.
seen that in the Entertainment Weekly. Actually.
They're making there's been a series this season on that they've made it on Comedy Central, and it's brilliant. No, it's not them getting it wrong. They're
Well.
getting it right. It's the most paraphrasing of history you will ever hear in your life because they do it when they're drunk. They literally get and they don't really frame this in the Comedy Central series, but when I first started getting into it on A Funny or Die, These people are in the original ones were actual historians, so they know what they're talking about.
Oh, really?
And so they get the
But they would
historians
get them drunk, and then they would tell the stories. Now on the show, it seems like they go pick people that just are very familiar with the story on Comedy Central. But yeah, back in the day, at least the first several they did. These were actually, I say historians, they were college students that were studying history, or they were amateur historians, but they knew what they were talking about. They knew the stories well enough.
So the first one, or the one that I saw was Tesla and Edison.
Who made the coil?
And so he was making, like, the guys explaining. Of course, they what did they give him? Something like, he drank an entire case of beer and then a quart of absinthe or something. So he's like really
Wow, I don't think I saw that one.
So he's going on and on and on about how genius Tesla was and what a jerk Edison was. And so then they go back and they actually get actors to play these roles while this guy's doing this narration, like a voiceover. But they're mouthing all the words that he's saying. So are you ready for this? John C. Reilly.
It's funny to die alum. It's a lot of them are, yeah.
And then Crispin Glover. Was it Crispin Glover? John Crispin Glover was playing Edison. So these two guys are in this.
They let him out of the loony bin?
Apparently.
Who?
For this?
Is Crispin Glover in the loony bin right now?
I thought that's where he lived.
Oh, I see. He made it funny.
No, I'm serious. Wasn't he just seriously committed for the longest time?
Oh, was he?
Was he?
Wasn't he? I'm thinking of the same guy, right?
I mean, he's always been a little
Michael J. Fox,
unhinged.
the dad from Back to the
He's
Future.
always been unhinged, but I didn't know he was in an institution.
I thought he was institutionalized.
Oh, okay. I'll take your word for that.
I could be
Why
wrong.
would you take his word for that? But when I say Ollie's dead, you go, no, he isn't.
Because I knew Ollie wasn't dead. I was pretty sure Ollie wasn't dead. I don't know anything about Crispin Glover's wilderness years. You don't have to look it up, Q.
You don't have to look it up. But yeah,
I don't think he's listening. So.
These are the two guys that got to play these two guys, and so and the guy's telling the story about how, and so Edison was a jerk, and he went and did this, and then he started electrocuting animals, going, "This is what happens when you get alternating current," and he's got his things like this and he's shaking, and John C. Reilly's going, "That's just not right." But it's the historian talking, and then they cut back to the historian who's like laying on the floor of the bathroom in a pool of his own vomit, and he's thrown up everywhere.
It's beautiful because they'll do that. They'll intercut real dialogue, and then it'll be the actor saying it, and you've got to watch these, Keith. They're hilarious. All of the dialogue is the guy telling the story, so he's talking for the people, and so the actors will just lip sync along with what he's saying.
That's pretty clever,
and it's really, really well done. Oh my gosh, they're so good.
So I was introduced to that this week. I want to say there was something else that I did that was fairly impressive, but I don't remember now what it was. Oh, Mel and I went and played disc golf on Saturday morning, and I shot really well at Crestview. Yeah, well, we decided just to have a date night.
Oh.
She went out and played by herself.
Saturday morning?
Saturday morning.
Oh.
A date morning. A date morning.
A date morning.
Yes.
A date night instead of,
I wouldn't have been able to go. We left at like 10.
She went out and played by herself at one point earlier this week and did really, really well. And she kind of thought, well, maybe that's the secret, is I just can't have other people around me when I go play. Because Aaron was supposed to go with her, and he didn't wind up showing. So she just played 15 holes on her own and scored phenomenally. She goes, I was getting threes, and I was getting distance, and I was doing this. So I went with her on Saturday morning, and she didn't do as well again. But
she said she and Patrick went, and she figured out that she was doing something weird with her pinky, and that's why she wasn't getting the distance.
She apparently refrained it on the other day that she went, and then...
Well, it's easy to slip back into it if you don't focus on it.
But we both scored in the 60s. I scored a 64, and I think she was a 68 at Crestview, which that's now the best we've ever done. Although I'm continuing my my part-time job as being a tree pruner. Because I hit every single tree in that stupid park.
You usually do.
Again. And it's nothing wrong. Oh, there's nothing more frustrating than getting that gorgeous, beautiful drive and the vroom noise off the disc, and it's flying out there, and it disappears into the tree branches, and you hear shh, and then it just drops. It just,
well, at least they dropped.
Just drops.
You've had some where we've been fishing out of the tree, throwing sticks up at it, and other discs at it. And
that's a slightly worse feeling when it goes into the tree and stays.
I always feel a slight bit of relief when I see it come down.
Me too.
But
well,
oh good,
because mine always come down until that one when you and I went out to Shunga.
But just when you know it's like that would have been like a 500-foot. Oh.
Anything else?
No, more school, more work.
Well,
sold a lot of vinyl figs at work this week. I don't know what's up with that.
Because we're all addicted to them now. All right.
We decided that we're good.
You're done.
She got the David Tennant. She's stopping.
If you guys get a duplicate Cybermen, I might trade the Bashta Narada for the Cybermen.
I'm surprised you're not trying for the Cyber Leader.
Odds aren't good enough.
Yeah.
We decided we're done. Translates.
No.
She said I'm not allowed to buy anymore.
I was the one that was constantly saying no. We spent too much on vinyl and on minifigs. I'm not going to...
Holly hasn't had
Go
any
into
problem
that.
with me buying them. Of course, so far I've been buying them on my store credits. So.
Oh, you're...
All right, well, let's start with a little Chicago TARDIS news.
Yeah, Chicago TARDIS has added another guest.
Freema.
Freema.
Yeah. Freema.
Meh.
Freema.
Freema.
Adjuman
Because she's from Chicago. It's Freema.
will be joining Chicago TARDIS.
Is that creepy?
A little
That's actually kind of cool. And creepy.
bit. And creepy.
Oh, there I am.
Where's Sean?
Where's Sean? So yeah, Freema's going to be in Chicago.
It's going to be a huge con. I'm jealous.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You sound a little...
Jealous.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Jealous and bummed that I most likely won't get to go. That likelihood is so slim.
You can totally go.
That's it for news.
We're going.
We are going? Did you win the
going.
lottery?
Not yet.
Have you played the lottery?
I have. I bought my tickets.
Okay.
I haven't checked them yet.
So you're going to have to play to win. That's how that usually works.
Yeah, well, I'm playing. Haven't won yet. Odds are in my favor.
Freema doesn't... I mean, I'm excited that they got Freema. Freema's a good get. It's not one of those ones that I was, oh, darn, because I got to go see Freema. I didn't actually go up and meet her because Sean had to get my autograph because I had to leave. But,
See, but you haven't got to meet her.
well, but I mean, I sat there and listened to her, saw her live, and I went by her table when she was in there one time before I got into a line, so I, see her up close. But so I think I snapped a picture of her too.
So you're all creeper about it.
It was all creeper about it. But, so it's not one of those ones that when they added it, I went, oh man, now that makes me want to go even more because I've seen her. But she's a phenomenal lady, and she's a great on-stage interview. So.
What's great is it might draw some attention for new fans.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because this is, aside from Dan Starkey, one of the only other
yeah, I'll bring him in there.
new fans.
That's terrific. I'm so glad that she's going to be there. All right, well, let's move on to, as Sean called it before, the elephant in the room that he kind of, I think he went out for a smoke, but now he's back. The rumors happen to be true.
Called it.
All 107 episodes of that.
106.
106.
Called it.
Nope, they found an extra one that we never knew about.
What do you guys think? New episodes this week. They, of course, for anybody that's been living under a rock this week, they found...
And my God, if you're listening to this show and you're just now finding out that there were new episodes found, I feel sorry for you.
They found in Nigeria 2 stories, one complete and one nearly complete. And...
I'm supposed to clarify, they didn't find them this week.
No, they announced
this
that they found them this week because that's right. They've obviously had them for a while because they
Cleaned them up,
prepared them, remastered them, and then they put them out on iTunes, which I think was genius.
That was a really good move.
Genius. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But they're really... Here's the funny thing, and Chrissy, I'm sorry if I'm going to steal your thunder a little bit here, but this is the nice thing is I think the Web of Fear is probably the one that everybody's considering one of the holy grails as far as finds because it has the Yeti. It has a lot of those elements that people are excited about. It was a very popular story, especially back in the 1960s.
First story with the brig, before he was the brig.
First story. Unfortunately, his introductory episode is still missing.
Aww.
I mean, he's in it. He's in episodes subsequent from that one that's missing.
Oh, but that's
so you get to see him. But the one where he actually shows up as Colonel, he's not the brig at this point.
Not the brig yet.
Colonel Leftwood Stewart. is the one that's still particularly missing. So that was watching it the other day and today again was a little bittersweet because it's still that. Not only do we not get to see him as I can't remember who he played in the Hartnell story, Max von whatever.
Yeah.
Although I think there might be an episode of that particular story around, but we don't get to see him arrive for the first time as Lethbridge Stewart because that episode is still missing. But anyway, Web of Fear I think is like one of the holy grails as far as things goes, which is kind of sad that. But really, I am so much more enamored by The Enemy of the World because this is the story, and I think it's a much better story. This is the story where Patrick Troughton is playing two characters. He's playing himself as the Doctor, and he's playing his doppelganger, which is this. How do I describe him?
He's a James Bond
wannabe. Well, yes, exactly. He's a James Bond villain. He's a wannabe dictator. Basically, he's trying to take over the world, and he's come up with a very James Bond villain-esque way in order to try to achieve it. So, and it's a phenomenal story, and it's so good and so enjoyable. And Patrick Troughton is fantastic in this story.
The character encyclopedia gives his subtitle "Enemy of the World."
Enemy of the World. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Salamander, I think was the name.
That's
we were
his
going
name,
for.
Salamander. Yeah.
But he was trying to describe him.
Oh,
and that's the way
he's the enemy of the world.
Yeah, but have you guys seen the story yet? I don't want to go into too much of it because this will be obviously one that we put on the agenda to review.
Oh, we will?
Yes, we will. And
it should be a Friday night.
That was another thing. I want to thank Chrissy personally because I didn't get your guys' approval on this, but I went ahead and asked her if I could republish her review in whole because I really felt since we're going to be discussing this story on down the line and giving our review surrounding all the celebration and excitement of it, I really wanted some material on our site, and she was very gracious to allow me to republish the review that she had done for her site, CJ's Notebook, CJ's Notebook, and she does a particular section called Librarian in the TARDIS. And she did a bonus review because she got so excited after she saw it, she decided to go ahead and do it. And so she allowed us to put it on our site, and it's a fantastic read. She does a wonderful job on it. So that got me excited about putting it on there after.
I didn't read her review, but I saw somebody comment that she did a good job reviewing it without spoiling it.
She did. I think Scott.
Yeah.
Scott mentioned that. So, yeah, good, nice job. And we might have some more work for you, Chrissy.
His special abilities are dictating.
Yeah. He's... When we get there, I don't want to get too...
These are the most worthless books
I don't want to get into too deep into it because I don't want to give my review because I've already told you that I enjoy the story. But the character is really... He's a vicious guy. But there was really not much that had to be done to kind of thwart him, you find out. So I'm not going to go any further than that. But
what's impressive is the iTunes releases. Enemy of the World was number 2 in the U.S.
We're going to talk about
the next day.
I might as well get into that too.
And number 4 was Web of Fear.
Well, I think the other thing is Web of Fear. As I said, it's like the Holy Grail. And I think everybody was most excited about that one. In general, in fandom, I think most people were most excited. From my own perspective, I think it's a great story. But I went back just a few months ago because I got excited about the Great Intelligence and the web that they weaved throughout that storyline over the past. Now I kind of wanted to see how everything fixed together. So I went and
read the book.
I listened to the audios for the Abominable Snowman and watched the one existing episode for that. And then I went and watched Web of Fear, or listened to the surviving audios for Web of Fear, and watched the one particular episode in that. And then saw Downtime, and then went back and revisited Snowmen and Bells of St. John. And then later we watched Day of the Doctor. And so I kind of did this complete run linearly in real time of how they would have existed. And I kind of wish I had gone back and watched Snowman first and then did it. But anyway, it didn't matter. So I have just recently been into the Web of Fear and was more familiar with the story. So watching Enemy of the World for me was more exciting because I didn't know it at all. I mean, I knew very little about the story. It was just brand new to me. So, but I have since this weekend I watched Enemy of the World twice, and I watched Web of Fear 1.5 times. I was actually watching it before Keith texted me to come over and record tonight. So,
what's impressive is it's still number 1 and 2 in the UK. Not too surprising, but impressive still. 5 and 6 in the U.S. and Australia on the charts.
That's awesome.
Still.
And I want to talk about that because I want to make a plea to people that if please try to buy these on iTunes. Even if you have intentions to buy them on DVD later, purchase these on iTunes. And I'll tell you why. Number one, because for a mere $9 or $10 for each episode, which I understand we're getting a steal in the U.S. because we're paying $9.99
For the whole
in
run.
U.S. dollars. No, for each. It's
Well, yeah,
$9.99
but I mean, it's for all
Yeah.
5 parts or 6 parts.
Right,
Yeah.
it's $9.99, and you know there's no bonuses, there's no extras. You get a trailer with it as well, which anybody
You
can
can
get
get
that.
that anyway.
Yeah, but we're getting $9.99. They're paying $9.99 in pounds over there, so they're paying £9.99 in the UK, and the dollar is just about half as much as the pound is worth. So they technically would be paying.
They're paying $20 for it, basically.
$20 US for each one, but they don't know that. Well, they know that, but they don't look at it that way.
They don't see it that way.
But anyway, please buy these. And here's the reason why. Now, if you're not making rent and you can't afford them, don't buy them. I'm not saying go out there and use your electricity bill money to buy these episodes. But if you have the extra money or you have the money and can do it, please buy these. And here's my reasoning why. And they're doing really well. But there's some indication, and this is speculation and rumor, so don't quote me on this, but there's some indication that they might actually have more episodes, but they want to slowly release these throughout the year. Because to be quite honest with you, we just got the last Tom Baker episode, correct? We just got Terror of the
Zygons,
which
yeah.
was the last one.
Which you just picked
released
up
on
too,
DVD.
right?
And so we're running out of stuff for them to release on DVD. So this might be a way to kind of milk that and do announcements as we go along. Hey, by the way, we also have this one. We've just remastered it. But what the iTunes will do for them, especially as it remains popular and generates some money, is it fills the coffers there at BBC Worldwide, which in turn keeps the Doctor Who brand and keeps the motivation for them to continue to do these kind of things and animate missing episodes that they don't have, because that's an additional cost for them.
Sure.
It's a huge cost for them. So this is extra money generated.
And continues to
because
surge.
If there's those of us that will buy it online and buy them on DVD, then that money's there. So that encourages them to continue to polish up if they still have these episodes. But you just hit something else. Even if these episodes don't already exist, this will be more motivation for them to get out there and start looking and turning over stones that maybe they didn't think about turning over. Because I think that's what happened here, is they have this great guy named Philip Morris he's kind of taking a torch from Ian Levine.
Philip Morris, we love you.
and he's taking this on and he's doing this. And if this gets him some funding to continue to go out there and turn more stones over to find some episodes, because we really have given up, because the last one we found was one single episode out of a story for Galaxy 4. And there was like this dry spell for like 10 years where they weren't finding anything. I think they found Tomb of the Cybermen in Hong Kong. Is
In
that the
92,
one?
yeah.
And then they found
And then Galaxy 4.
Galaxy
and,
4 in 2007, I think it was, or 8.
No, Galaxy 4 was just last year. They had two
No,
of them.
they didn't find it last year. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it was 2011. It wasn't last year.
20
They released it last year.
Yeah, because it was Galaxy 4 and what was the other one? It was an underwater.
Underwater Menace.
Underwater
yes,
Menace.
they found those. And cleaned those up.
Just the 2 individual episodes from each one of those.
But they're obviously becoming very hard to find because we've had these huge gaps in finding these episodes. So I think actually Tomb was found in like 2006 or 7.
No,
and then there
it
was something
was
that was
92.
in something that was in 92. And Tomb was more recent.
Nope.
Tomb was definitely more recent.
I just looked it up.
And then
See, he doesn't believe me.
so
Prove him wrong, Keith.
But this will fill the coffers. So if you have the money, buy them. Now, I purchased them because I got wrapped up in the excitement of all this, and I thought, I want to see these now. And if you're going to make them available, that's the other thing is, we find episodes, and then we say, okay, and then in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months down the road, we'll have them cleaned up for you, and we'll release them on DVD.
It is a really
And then you
smart
have
way to
that
do it.
anticipation
Yeah.
of, look at 10th Planet. I mean, we're animating 10th Planet. We've never gotten 10th Planet released on any format. I might have been on VHS with a missing episode, but we've never gotten that. So how have we been pining for getting that? That's finally going to release, I think, next month.
Yeah.
And we've been hoping to win, but this was beautiful because they really calculated. I mean, even though some of this slipped out, And it wasn't the huge find that everybody kind of hoped for, the 106 missing episodes, but it leaked throughout the week, and we got. But when it finally came to fruition and they were on iTunes, they just kind of washed over me that yes, here we are, and I have them available to me right now. So that's the wonderfulness of it. And I had the extra
instant
$20.
gratification.
Exactly,
That's the thing.
And I paid $20 that I could have gone to a movie, and spent nearly that for one showing of a movie, and I own 2 Doctor Who stories that have been missing that I haven't ever got to see. So. That's what's fantastic. So I plead with everybody, if you can afford it, buy these on digital, and then you'll get to buy them again on DVD and get all of those wonderful extras that are going to be included. Everything's plus. And Keith and I kind of talked about this a little bit before. I wonder if they have pushed off Web of Fear to January. I've seen both January and February. I'm not sure what the exact drop date is.
Which we still haven't gotten drop dates for U.S. anyways.
Right, but I'm wondering if they want to try to animate that one missing episode before they put it out on DVD. At the very least, I hope they don't do what they've done on iTunes. Now, I'm glad they did it this way for the iTunes release. The third episode of Web of Fear is telesnaps and the surviving audio track. Now that's great for what we got instant gratification for, because they do kind of some of the Ken Burns moves, where they push into characters, which is the recon, the amateur. I won't say amateur. The
recon team,
the private recon teams. I'm not talking about the ones that actually do stuff. Some of them have done stuff for
fan recons,
BBC, but the fan recons. Some of them have done this, but they've done a nice job of really moving the story and telling the story along. But what I would like them to do is, I really had hoped for, if we were going to do something like this, I would rather have the 15-minute abbreviated version like they did with the video with Ice Warriors.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastically done. And it was done in such a way that they kind of encapsulated it in the little, telescreen, and we kind of were getting pieces of the story that were later unearthed and found, but it was still within the context of the story that was being told there. And I had kind of hoped they would do something similar to that, because the audios are fantastic, and it's the best way to in your mind's eye, see the story. But it would have been nice to have just a little bit of a variety there, because the telesnaps get really old to look at, and I was surprised with the number of telesnaps that exist. But you're still seeing a lot of them over and over again, and it's only for 24 minutes, so it's not bad. And I shouldn't complain.
Well, it's just
because I like
from a narrative. I mean, I agree. It's the best way to do it because it's what we've got. But at the same time, narratively, it takes you out of the story, because now all of a sudden you're stuck with this.
Oh, I'm used to watching moving pictures, and now they're not.
Yeah, and so it kind of throws you off of that, which is why animation, I still say,
is
is
the next best
way of doing it. To not having that episode, let's animate it.
But because while it's still obviously different and jarring, it works better because there's still motion and action, and you're seeing it.
Yeah.
The cool thing about Web of Fear is I pictured the things in my mind's eye as I listened to the audio stories of it as they narrated, and the thing that kind of set me back was the fact that, or pleasantly surprised me, was the fact that it was what I imagined in my head, and I was very surprised by that. And I don't know if that's credit to the narrator that is in between, the narrations that are written between, because when you listen to these BBC audio releases as they are, they'll have somebody, a narrator, that is explaining the things that are going on that you don't hear, that you don't see, that you can't see, and they do a nice job of that, of painting that picture. And I think that might be why, in my mind's eye, I saw a lot of this the way it was. And part of it helps because I did go back. I would stop in the audio adventure and not listen to the episode that did exist. So I think it was the first episode of Web of Fear. I watched it, so I had an idea of the setting, the location, what everybody looked like, how everybody was dressed. So then as I proceeded on, it made it easier to imagine what was happening and what I was seeing.
I'm really looking forward to watching. I haven't watched either one of them yet. I've watched the trailers, but not the actual episodes, and I'm looking really forward to getting into those, because I remember reading Web of Fear, because I had the Target novelization, and for whatever reason, it was one that I read 2, 3, 4 times. I don't know why. It just did.
It's a good story.
Kid.
It's a good story.
And, even though I don't know, the ridiculousness of Yeti and the subway. I didn't care. Yeti and spider webs. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't. It just I'm ready for this episode, and it didn't really hit me as a kid that you would never see this. It was just a Doctor Who book, and it was this great adventure, and I enjoyed it. And it just kind of existed outside of that idea of you'll never actually see this episode. But I couldn't wait to watch it. But it never really entered into my head that was the case with that one. So I'm really looking forward to Web of Fear because it's one that I'm familiar with. But I kind of had the same reaction with you when I was talking to Mel about them. It was just the idea that this is going to get, I want to see Patrick Troughton's acting chops, playing both the hero and the villain and all that kind of stuff. Even though, it's kind of a James Bond story, but I don't care. I'm bring it on. I'm ready.
And at least for me, up until this point, I never heard of this story. I wasn't even aware of it because I just kind of missing, just not really paid.
It's easy to glaze over
to glaze over what's missing.
Well, up until recently, I noticed that even Wiki didn't have much of a write-up on it. Because when I had heard that Patrick Troughton had played dual roles, this was been maybe a year or two ago, I went and looked it up. And there wasn't a lot of information on the story. Maybe it's part of it's because nobody could remember what the story was. But, I mean, obviously, I think it exists in audio as well. But I never got excited about it until recently, and I thought, I want to see this because I know nothing about it. And that was the nice thing, was being introduced to a story that I knew very little about.
Yeah.
So
I can't wait to watch them.
When was Tomb of the Cybermen found? Did you find that?
92.
Tomb was found in 92.
Tomb was found in 92. And was 2011 was when Galaxy Porn Underwater Menace was found.
I think I said 2011. So I had one right.
The first episode of The Crusade was returned in 99.
Wasn't there one in 2007?
Oh, maybe that's the one you were thinking of then.
Maybe I was, but
I haven't seen any that between 92. There was 92, 99, and
2012 or 2011.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking there was another one in the early 2000s, but yes. But look at that dry spell.
Yeah.
I mean, so to turn these up just recently, all of these is.
Well, I have more to say about this, but I'm going to wait until a little bit later to hit home. Somebody else kind of mentions it, and I'm going to elaborate on what I think is going on.
Feedbacker?
A feedbacker? Okay, we'll do that. The other thing that I want to say is, on the issue of these missing episodes, I think Moffat's known.
Totally.
I don't think it's coincidental that
he
did the snowman for Christmas and reintroduced us to the Great Intelligence.
And especially with the nice little reference to the Subway Undergrounds.
Yeah, exactly.
The map.
Exactly.
On the
and I want to say, I've said here and I've mulled this over my head, and Keith, you brought up a point of something earlier if you want to talk about the encyclopedia.
I mentioned it's in the character encyclopedia. There's not a whole lot of quote-unquote villains from the first or second Doctor era. They hit on the big ones, the Celestial Toymaker, the Ice Warriors, the Yeti. But the fact that Salamander is in this book...
Salamander is actually one of them.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ones you don't hear a lot of people talk about.
Yeah, and where pretty much everything else from that era is companions, aside from like a small handful of villains, makes it seem like they knew that this was coming.
And that was published this year,
yeah,
right?
I believe so.
Like only a few months ago, or at the beginning of the year at the very least. So,
well, maybe it's
just up to date to the Snowmen at least.
Yeah.
In their collection.
Maybe it's because the Yeti have appeared in 2 episodes.
Well, and that's the thing.
That maybe because even if you remember the old Doctor Who technical manual had the anatomy of a Yeti.
Yeah.
And the
but that's what I was. That's what I was telling him. Is the Yeti is popular enough, and even
they're iconic.
Yeah.
Even Celestial Toymaker is an iconic villain.
All the villains.
The Salamander seems one of those ones that at least has been off my radar for a long time.
Yeah.
The Zarbi. I mean, that's one that's.
The Zarbi are in there?
The Zarbi are in here.
But that episode exists, so it's easy to go to it's easy to go to the archive and say, okay, people will know about these.
And,
you know what I mean?
And when you have very few Z's as it is,
you
gotta
okay,
true.
I'll give you that one. The ABCs of Doctor Who villains. Zarbi.
You're going to remember that, aren't you?
Maybe. I'll file that away. Bring it out when I need it.
I think that's the one
I think you did that.
I think I did that for a
I
lot.
did Zygon.
But yeah, there's hardly any villains for the first and second Doctor era.
So,
well, I mean, there were Daleks and Cybermen. That's kind of
and Yetis and Celestial Toymaker.
And then Yeti and the Celestial Toymaker. That was about it.
Cool. So exciting stuff.
How do you do a write up on the Land of Fiction as a villain? I mean, it's just
you know what's
the
funny?
master of the Land of Fiction.
You know what's funny is
This was 2013.
I spent all of last weekend because we went up and down. We did this roller coaster ride of there are episodes coming. There's not. They debunked this rumor. No, they really have found these. No, they debunked this rumor. And then this weekend was like, no, there's really a lot of proof that this exists. And as the week went on, it really started to weed down to the fact that, well, we think there's only 2 stories. Fortunately, they're complete or mostly complete, but there's only 2 stories. So even really since
Who
Monday,
cares? It's 2
even since
episodes.
really-
It's 2
even-
stories.
Well, that's just it. Even since Saturday, though, you would think that you went from this 106 episodes recovered to 2 stories. Yes, it's great. It's phenomenal. It's a fan. It's
9
it's
episodes
huge.
recovered.
9 episodes, 2 stories. So I kept thinking, wow, is it when they actually make it official? Is it going to be one of those? Because you wanted 106,
Yeah.
but we only got 9. But when they made the announcement and it became official, it was like that. Wow, we got 9 missing stories,
9
more
whole
missing
episodes.
2 whole stories, nearly whole. I always have to say nearly whole because Webb still has that 1 hole in it, but it's.
It's. Do you remember last year, 2011? We were doing the show and they found 2 episodes of Doctor Who. I mean, they found and they made the announcement
was
with
Galaxy 4 and Underwater Mist.
Do you remember how Cloud 9 over the moon?
Oh, yeah.
We were
That was
talking about
fantastic,
that,
yeah.
and just it's a good day to be a Who fan. And they found these, and just on and on and on. I mean, we gushed for like half an hour over 2 episodes. They found 9, 2 nearly complete episodes or stories.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And it gives Troughton.
It gives me hope.
That's the that's
Yeah,
that's even more
that's what's
excited.
nice.
The fact
is
that
it's,
it's Troughton.
it's
I mean, no
gonna fill
offense to
out-
Hartnell,
it's
but
gonna
they found
fill out
Troughton.
it's going to fill out too big. Well, that's just it, though. If you go back and you look at the Hartnell stuff, there is so much Troughton gone. There's so much Hartnell that exists.
That still exists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it still exists. That it's terrific. And thanks to Ian Levine and his crew that started this crusade. He should get some credit for it. He should get a lot of credit for that.
There are 44 missing episodes for the first Doctor, 53 missing for the second Doctor.
Yeah. And we've even gotten, well, I guess they've already animated some of the Troughton stories, but they affect. I think that was the first one.
Yeah,
Invasion
the first one was the
one
Invasion. They did those
animated.
2,
And then
they
they
did
Reign of
It
Terror.
still lists those as missing. Because
Sure,
they're
still, and they still are
they're still
missing.
missing.
But the nice thing is, we now can have them sitting on our shelves, and we know those stories because we can see what, as close to what it probably was.
Well, and here's something I pointed out to Mel. It's, in my mind, is kind of interesting. Is by the time this run is done, with the fact that we're getting Enemy of the World, well, the UK is getting Enemy of the World on the anniversary. I don't know if we are or not. And then
I think I read we still get day after.
we're getting Ice Warriors is still slated for this year, right?
Didn't
I believe
somebody
so.
say that fell off of the list
No,
for now?
the moon base fell off.
The moon
Moonbase
base fell off.
Yeah, I get those two
But
confused.
so we're for sure getting Ice Warriors, I think. Likely getting Enemy of the World, and then next year we'll get Moonbase and
They've even dropped
Web
the
of Fear.
dates off of Enemy of the World for the DVD.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what I'm thinking of. You're right.
Okay, so when these come out, we'll have 4 new Troughton stories on DVD. You realize your DVD collection for Troughton, if you bought all of them, you now have the same number of Troughton episodes as you could potentially have of Sylvester McCoy episodes.
Stories or
Stories,
episodes? Okay,
not
yes.
episodes. I got to keep it
DVDs.
DVDs, complete, nearly. It's too much terminology. You have the same number of DVDs for Troughton as you do for McCoy.
That's
if
terrific.
you're completist.
That's terrific.
And that's just that's something I never thought we'd actually get to that moment. Even though the fanboy in me, the rose-colored glasses Sean that you all know and love, has always maintained they'll find them. I believe that the core might be, even if it does mean that we're going to have to find a way to pull back those television beams from space and figure out a way to do it.
Well,
I believe
that
they'll
would be
do
how
it.
they'd have to do it. For there's a. I wish let me see if I can find
There's that
this.
IO9 article
Yeah,
that
there's
was
an
posted.
IO9. Did you read that?
I'm the one that posted it.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a fantastic article.
Yeah.
and it's intriguing to me that there's the one story that we will never see because it wasn't even recorded.
Yeah.
And that just blows my mind. And it's the Feast of
Feast of Stephen.
which was a Dalek Master Plan insert. for Christmas. It would be technically the first Christmas special, and that's just, it blows my mind that I'm like you. I'm like, eventually someday maybe they will find all of them, but then it's so disheartening to read that that's one that you will never ever get because it just was it doesn't exist. The only way you can do it is pull back the transmissions that have been beamed into space.
Like I said, I firmly believe that someday somehow they will find a way to do it, that they'll recover these. But at the same time, I'm such a realist that it was like, this is it. You know? Honestly, that's why I hadn't bought the Crotons yet. I still don't own the Crotons because there's a part of me that's like, but then I'll have them all.
But now you won't.
I won't be able to go and say there's still Trouton out there that I haven't bought yet because I'd have them all. And so I don't know. It's just this weird little block that I can't buy that last one because I don't want it to be done.
Well, now
I
you
don't
can buy it.
But now I can because there are that many.
He'll still wait. Because
Well,
he
yeah,
wants
well,
these two instead.
He wants these
I
two
want these two instead.
yeah.
But
I don't want something that's been sitting around for years. I want something that was just found.
And one that we weren't that impressed with, if I remember correctly. Crotons.
Yeah,
No,
we-
we liked the Crotons. It was the
Did we?
Dominators.
Oh,
we
it was
didn't.
Dominators. Well, Croutons was kind of okay.
Croutons.
Yeah.
Croutons.
I think we gave it a fairly favorable review, but we weren't.
We liked the
enamored by
ideas
it.
in it, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
We weren't enamored by it.
How was the
We liked
restoration
Zoe's
of the new
skirt.
stories?
Sorry?
How was the restoration? Did it
No, they look
good?
terrific.
Did
They
it?
look terrific. Yeah, they really do. I mean, they're using the same technique that they have used on everything.
Ever.
Yeah.
Well, I like that one trailer that shows the
I think
split
they call
screen
it vid-
between the before and after.
Yeah.
That
I think they
shows how
call it
they cleaned
Vidfire,
up.
but I think the benefit that they had from this one was these were stories that they didn't have. You know, somebody had recorded off of television, and these were ones that were actually transferred
Actual
to film.
Yeah.
And so they were sitting, and they had the actual 60 millimeter film canisters. And I love that interview with Philip Morris where he talks about he saw the duct tape on one of them, and it had Doctor Who written on it. And he wiped the dust away, and he saw the Doctor Who, and he says heart skipped a beat because he knew what he had.
Just as an FYI, for those of you that have saw the picture, I think it was again on IO9 that they showed a picture of the film canister.
Mm-hmm.
I want that picture in every post office. I want it on milk cartons. I want it missing. If found, please call. Around the world, go.
Interpol.
Get some guys on this.
But yeah, it's a good week to be a fan, and
It really is.
I've been soaking it up all weekend long, going everywhere and looking at all the news stories. And the funny thing is, sometimes a big story drops, and you feel the need to go out there and read a lot about what's going on. And once you've read 2 or 3 articles about something, you start rereading. You're basically rereading the same information. So you get to a point where you stop after like the 3rd article you read on a news story. I was just in such a euphoria this weekend that I kept reading all of the different reports on this, no matter how similar the stories were together, because I kept sitting there. And the amazing thing was to go to the different sites that I had never seen anything Doctor Who ever published on there, ever, except for maybe like a brief mention that there's going to be a new Doctor, or that Matt Smith's leaving the role, because that was that's kind of mainstream news now. Even on sites that, I generally would never have expected to see a Doctor Who story, they at least had a little blurb talking about, just this, how rare of a find this was. And just all weekend I kept going to different sites, and then I'd go to reviews of people that have seen the episodes, and it's been really favorable so far for the most part. I mean, there's some that are naysayers, but I don't typically read Tenet fangirl mail.
They found Dr. Who. What do you mean they're not Tenet? In the cookie bin?
You wouldn't pilfer your cookie.
I did
And
pilfer
he
the
did
cookie bin.
pilfer her.
Yeah, I think I read that quote from. No, it's the bag. It's right there.
Oh, no.
No, there's one in there still.
Did I beat the last one?
Yes.
You're a punk.
Yes. I think I read that quote from Philip Morris like 10 times this week. In a different article each time.
Exactly. So
But-
we can't take these for lunch tomorrow, Sir Keith?
It's a whole unopened one.
Oh.
So that's why I'm not. Hey, wait a minute.
If this had been the last of the day, I wouldn't have eaten
Yeah.
it. But, well, I would have. I'd have felt bad about it afterward. Now,
Shall we move on to feedback, find what everybody else has to say about this?
real quick, I do want to throw out I feel very fortunate tonight, being a Who fan. Because how much would it suck if we were fans of, like, Dad's Army? Or, I mean...
Which was reportedly in that hall.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just that there are other shows out there that got wiped that there is no hope. I have hope for Doctor Who. I will always have hope for it. There's a lot of those other people that are just, you know...
It sort of makes me wonder that there's clearly not the following for Dad's Army that there is for Doctor Who. But it kind of makes me wonder that on these expeditions, when we're going to places where things have, you know, they talked about bicycling, how it would start at one point, Hong Kong, and then they would move on to these different locations. Essentially, once the film was screened in that country or broadcast in that country, then they would load it up on a boat and send it to the next stop. But it makes me wonder as they've been checking these bicycling locations, if they have stumbled across BBC episodes that have been, but because they're not huge deal like Dad's Army or something like that, they have recovered a lot of this stuff that's just kind of gone under the radar. And then when they get enough to say, okay, we want to release season 1 or season 2 or season 3 of Dad's Army, they have it. And
then they'll make a big deal out of it.
Well, and I hate to say that it's not that big of a deal, but it's really not. So there's a handful of people that will get some enjoyment when they're surprised by the fact that, hey, the DVDs are coming out, and then there'll be a little, once missing episode 7 of Dad's Army, or you know what I mean. And so it's not going to be this huge media phenomenal that happens with Doctor Who, but there'll be a little sticker on there, and then there'll be a making of, special where they say, yeah, we found these, and they'll explain how they found it. So that's how they'll get those. So
they were sandwiched between a bunch of Doctor Who tins, and they were almost thrown out.
Exactly. I hold out hope that
What's Dad's Army?
If the BBC has been recovering some of the other things that have been missing as well, they just aren't front page news. So I think that, and the best example of that, or the best evidence to that, is the fact that when this story broke originally, like in June when this started really taking off, somebody used the evidence of the fact that there's a Dad's Army DVD box set coming out. And it lists everything with some things missing, but I think they alluded to the fact that there were some that were thought once missing that have shown, that they're showing up on this list.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes me wonder, is if the BBC is realizing that, hey, we can restore some of the stuff we found along the way and just kind of surprise them as we put the DVDs out. So for those other shows.
Well, way to go, marketing, for ruining the surprise.
Anyway, let's hear what others have to say about these missing episodes, and we'll move on into feedback.
I don't have time, guys. I'm sorry.
I know.
I was just double checking.
I was going to let him go on and by, and then Keith did the little...
Yeah, I know. He snickers because he's still reigning champ of the feedback song. And it's just like, I wish... I don't like disappointing people. I just don't have time to do it right now. I'm sorry.
Who's first?
First up is Mark. Mark writes, Gents, well developed to the 50th, but it's happening. There is so much going on that it's impossible to keep track of it all. Next year will be a bit dull in comparison. It's not every year as a Whovian you get to see a new companion, a new Doctor, a 3D special, long-last episodes released, and a journey into the TARDIS. The list goes on and on. The lack of focus on the 50th anniversary show itself is refreshing. It's almost being a child again. We never had trailer after trailer, announcement after announcement. It was exciting enough that Doctor Who was on. Very rarely was there disappointment when watching the show because there wasn't the hype around to build up the expectation and false hope. Now I'm sounding like my dad banging on about the good old days. My kids tell me I dance like him too. There was a point to this comment, but I forgot what it was somewhere in the first sentence. Thanks for your time. Mark.
Okay, Mark.
No. Mark, first-time writer. I don't think Mark's written into us.
Have we not gotten one
Mark's
from Mark?
I think this is a different Mark.
No. Well, this is definitely not Mark McMurray.
Yeah.
No, it's not
Mark McMurray doesn't have kids.
No. That's why I said this is a different Mark.
Here's one thing that I want to throw out here as well, because he brings this up, that there's so much going on. I hope that all of those people that were bagging on Moffat because he said at the end of last year that there's going to be a lot, that it's the biggest year for Doctor Who. I hope they're all really eating crow right now, because they bagged on him for all that little dry period we had at the first of the year.
Do you think he knew then?
I'm sure he knew then. If he knew early enough to write The Snowman.
Well, I suppose that's true.
That aired in
Yeah.
December
Yeah.
of last year. I remember
they
him
filmed it
talking
in August of
I
last
remember
year.
him talking in fall of last year about how the 50th anniversary was going to be. There would be more Doctor Who than ever, and that there was a lot coming, and they had a lot planned. And then we had this dry spell of nothing happening and no announcements and nothing. We had this little blurb at a Comic-Con somewhere or a toy fair or something with and people were trying to grasping at straws and nuggets. And I even said, yeah, that's probably all we're going to get. But I was trying not to build up my expectations either. I was thinking, to me, that was enough. But everybody was hanging on Moffat's, breath with that announcement. There was going to be huge, and there would be all this stuff. And then as it happened and kept going, and people were like dogging on him, and I just hope he has the biggest grin on his face today. I hope he does.
I think he does.
Unfortunately, those same people are probably just still complaining that there's no 50th
Yeah,
trailer.
those people would have complained if they were.
Yeah. So Mark I read Mark's reply earlier this week when it came in, and it really got me to thinking. And here's my official stance on this. There is more. I guarantee, I'm going to say this right now, you can believe me or don't, I guarantee this is the tip of the iceberg. I think they've got more episodes. I think the classic Doctors are in the 50th anniversary. I think all those things, all those wild, improbable...
Would you secretary this and write this down?
Write this down. I think all those wild, improbable things that you think there's absolutely no way on earth that could happen, I think they're all happening. And I think the genius of Moffat and the BBC and
Seriously, would you write this
I'm
down?
trying to pull up
what they've been up to. You can go. You're archiving it. It's on audio. You'll be able to record this.
Yeah, but that
Yeah,
means
but we're
I
not
have
gonna
to go back
remember.
and listen to it.
I think the genius of it is all the balls in the air. I think he's got the fans distracted. I think he's pulling a three-ring circus and a razzle-dazzle on us. I think he's look over here at this, look over here at this. Hey, new Doctor. Hey, Google TARDIS view. Hey, this. Hey, this. New episodes. And I think everybody's just bamboozled. And we've forgotten about the 50th.
Okay, so
We've got so much other stuff going on.
So what are you proclaiming here?
I'm proclaiming that there will be classic Doctors in the 50th anniversary special. One or more. Probably more. I think it's going to happen. And I think all of this, even
Sound like he was about to backpedal.
No.
One or more.
I think all of this,
It's
even new episodes of Troughton's era, I think it's Dog and Pony Show. I think all of that is designed to keep us off balance
is that the
and
only thing he's claiming?
not looking
I
at
thought he was
that.
claiming more than just
I think there's more. I think they have maybe
No, he
not.
thinks there's more episodes.
I think there's more episodes. I don't. Maybe not 106.
Which I'm
Are you
I'm not going to
proclaiming
dispute that because
more episodes will be announced before the 50th or in this year?
Maybe, I don't know. I think they've got them. I guarantee.
Spread it down.
I guarantee you they've got.
I'll
'em.
give him a full year on that one.
I guarantee you they've got them. And maybe they're going to let this die down. Maybe not. I don't know. But the whole thing, I really honestly believe, is to just that they've got so much going on right now that it's designed to distract us and keep us in this state of euphoria up until the 50th anniversary airs.
So you really only said two things: more lost
Yeah.
episodes, and I can remember that.
You can remember that.
And the classic.
The classic.
I
Doctors.
honestly believe that. I think that's the plan. And I mean, think about this for just a minute. We've had these two episodes of Troughton's era, and we've remastered them and kept it quiet. Now, aside from the little rumor mill that started churning in June when the whole thing really got the ball rolling, and that was some really... I can see the looks on the guys' faces at the BBC when they went, "Aw, crap, who leaked this?" And then they went and looked at the improbable trail that the fans had gotten to get to that point. And it was like, are you kidding me? They put two and two together and came up with Chair, and they knew that we had this? Man, they have done a masterful job of keeping this silent. Because it's not just the fact that they had the episodes. They had time to remaster them and clean them up and get... You've posted our episodes on iTunes. How long does that take? That's like months of waiting for iTunes to get you the license to upgrade something and put it on. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they already have a license for that.
But still, I mean, it took
They have to make that
Let's just say,
artwork.
Yeah. They've already
use-
got artwork for
I go
them.
home and edit it for about 2 hours, and then I publish it. But that's not what you meant. You
Yeah,
meant
well,
to get us onto iTunes.
We had like 10 or
initially.
13 episodes that went out before we finally got on iTunes. I mean, it's just this stuff. The wheels of commerce grind slowly. They had all this stuff in place beforehand. Think about that for a minute. They have known. And yeah, I firmly believe Moffat wrote Snowman knowing, yeah, we're going to get Web of Fear, I'm bringing the Great Intelligence back. Why? We talked about it at the time we reviewed it. Why on earth, of all the villains that he could reach back into the grab bag and pull out, why Great Intelligence? It's because he knew. And I guarantee you there's more. I guarantee you there's more. There's more coming. There's got to be.
I want to speak to something that goes along those same lines, because I remember hearing an interview, and I the guy's name always escapes me, but it's the guy who's
Benedict Cumberbatch.
No, it's the guy who's Benjamin. It's the guy who always he heads up BBC Worldwide, and he's kind of the editor or whatever, the head guy over there. And I heard an interview with him about a year and a half ago on another podcast, and I wish I could give them credit, but I can't remember for certain. But he was talking to them, and it was probably Radio Free Scarlet, but he was talking to them about how they were asking, the question was posed in such a way as to the things that you release on DVD that are released in the classic series. Do you coordinate with the BBC on what is going to air? So, like, if it's the Sontarans are introduced in the third season of Doctor Who, do you guys coordinate with the BBC? Does BBC Worldwide and BBC coordinate to make sure that you get you get some of those DVDs to come out at the same time? And he emphatically said, no, we don't do that. We release what we have and available and what we're working on, because we plan our schedule out, a year or so ahead, because we have to put so much stuff together to put onto a DVD. And I thoroughly believe that's true. Absolutely. I think that's what happened. But I think that something there in the marketing department, I think they have been successfully able to bridge a gap there that existed before. Because if you look at this, what else is in the 50th anniversary? Albeit, I think it'll be a quick, small cameo. But what other villain is going to be in the 50th? And what just came out last week? Zygons. Exactly. So I think, and then we've got this Snowman Web of Fear connection. I think that they have done a better job of saying, okay, let's use the new series to market the old series. And they're doing that right. And so I think what you're saying has a lot of merit to it. And I think that helps. And I will conclude by saying that I have never more hoped that you're right with one of your predictions. Because most of the time, I'm certain that you're going to be wrong. But this is one of those times that I hope everything you're saying is the absolute what's going to happen.
I cannot explain why. I just have this feeling. And maybe it's my youthful, ignorance and hope. Maybe it's my rose-colored glasses. I cannot explain it. I know there are more out there, and I know that they've got some of them. See, maybe not 106. Maybe that's way blown out of proportion. I think that's just really wishful thinking. But I know they've got a couple more. My problem
with this is that the BBC has not had a very good past track record in the past of keeping secrets. They've blown a lot of stuff. Now, that was mostly prior to Moffat heading up the show. And maybe he's been able to get in there and rein some of that back.
Well, but realistically, it's all marketing.
Their track record is poor.
Season 7, Part 2, before it even finished airing. Yeah. That was marketing. That was huge. That was BBC Worldwide.
Man,
dropped the ball on that. What was the other one that we were laughing about earlier this year that they were like, I can't believe you guys have screwed this up?
I don't remember now.
But there was something else. There have been several of them that just kind of bam, bam, bam. And all of that, if you think about it, all of those flubs have been going on while we're holding new episodes of Troughton, because we already found them and we're remastering them. Think about that. Maybe those weren't flubs. Maybe they were intentional leaks as part of that dog and pony show to keep us off balance.
Could be. I wish I could give the BBC more credit to that.
Did they say how long?
It's a huge conspiracy theory. I'll admit to that, but I firmly believe it's out there. So,
did they say how long they had these in their possession before they announced it?
Nope.
I was going to say I haven't seen that anywhere in any reports.
I would be really interested to know that.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. As many times as I read that,
they don't know how long it takes to clean these up either.
As many times as I read that quote,
well, they've certainly gotten better at it. For certain.
Think about this for just a minute. At it. We found them in a broom closet. They were sitting on the shelf. There was dust on them. Really? Because you've set this up as what, as fans, we would anticipate happening.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Think about it. It's the Raiders of the Lost Ark episode of How to Find Doctor Who episodes. It's a tutorial. You go to the place where you didn't think they were. You go in the closet. They're on a shelf covered in dust. And we get the indie swiping up, and it says Doctor Who. I mean, come on, really? I'm drooling. Yeah. I don't buy it. I don't buy that there were 2 canisters there. I don't believe it.
I think there was more than
I
2
think he found more. I totally think he found more. I think maybe these were the 2 on top. I'll give him that. I wiped the dust off of the first one. Oh, but I can't say that. I don't know. Take it at face value, kids, but that's what I think.
All right, who's next?
Up next is Scott.
That's mine. Scott from Philly writes, comment question, hey, Kansas crew. If you asked me a year ago, 10, 20 years ago, what is the one lost story I most wanted to see? It's Enemy of the World. And now it's here! In the middle of the famous Season of Monsters year, to have a non-monster story was a bold move. And I'm sure it helped cut costs doing without monster suits and having to pay another actor as the lead villain. I'm actually going to wait to buy my own DVD copy, but I can't wait to hear everyone's opinions about this one. How evil will the salamander be? How different will he be from the Doctor? Where did Jamie learn how to karate chop? With the Web of Fear, I hope you guys will do a series on Lethbridge Stewart. From this first story to Battlefield. Not every single story, but most of the major ones. If you do or don't, I hope you'll get around to reviewing Downtime, the fan-produced story. It ties in so well to both classic and modern Who. It features so many familiar faces, and Nick Courtney's acting is brilliant. The story's not great, but all things considered, it's worth watching. Your Chiefs are winning, lost episodes are being found, everything must be... Oh no... A report coming in that an irate space buffalo is headed to the U.S. to protest Columbus Day. Take cover and take care.
You know, I thought I saw on CNN that there were some protests in Washington. I didn't know it was started up by the space buffalo.
Space buffalo.
I will say...
Because only a space buffalo would start protests about Columbus Day in Washington while the government shut down.
Yep.
I can't remember. Have we done a adversary archive on... Or not adversary.
On the space buffalo? No.
Companion archive on...
No.
The brig?
Not on the brig. We have not.
Well, I don't think we're going to formulate it in that way because I think there's there's other stories that would do the brig, but we would include Web of Fear in that. But I think what I'm going to lobby for among us is to do a Great Intelligence adversary archive, and we'll include Abominable Snowman, Web of Fear, Downtime, The Snowmen, Bells of St. John, in the name of the Doctor.
And possibly the 50th.
Yes, and possibly the 50th, if GI2 turns up there too. So, one way or the other, we're going to address those, and we will watch Downtime, because I have done that, because I already did my string of Great Intelligence.
You did. I'm looking forward to watching it.
I thoroughly loved the connections that can be made. Whether it's an over-enthusiastic retcon fan like myself, or that they're just obviously there.
Well, because Kate's in the Downtime that Kate Stewart shows up for the first time?
Yes, Kate is in that.
So we technically should include Power of Three.
Well, I guess that's true. Victoria returns.
That's if we do a
Professor
archive.
Travers returns. The Brigadier, obviously, is in it. Sarah Jane Smith is in it. It's so good. I mean, it's just... Yeah, I'm getting chills. It's not a good story. He's absolutely right. But the way that they did this is structured, and the attempt that they made was just makes it phenomenal.
So it's fan wank.
It is fan wank. It's total fan wank.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I'll take a good piece of fan wank over Ghostlight any day of the week. Oh, did I tip my hand?
Up next is Rachel.
All right. Rachel writes, question, comment. Hello, Vortex gang. Just wanted to drop you a line to say hello.
Hello.
Thanks,
Hello.
Rachel. No, I'm just kidding. There's more. I haven't sent any feedback recently because, frankly, I haven't had anything to really say. The book /comic /Big Finish you guys have been reviewing, I haven't had a chance to read and or listen to, but that doesn't stop me from enjoying your and other folks' reviews. But since so much has been going on the last few weeks, I thought I'd chime in on some of the madness. First, the no longer lost episodes. While it wasn't the 100 episodes people were hoping for, all things considered, I say 9 isn't too shabby either. As I'm almost done watching Hartnell's run, I'm looking forward to being able to watch these two stories once I start Troughton's era. It's true. Anybody that hasn't delved into Troughton's era just got 2 more stories to add to the list.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Now, who do we have to encourage to keep checking every storage cupboard and basement in Africa or more? That's why I say, buy these on iTunes. They will realize how important this is to us, and they will continue to push for that.
Oh, and was it Mark or Scott that said he was waiting to buy his DVD copy? Scott.
Who's Scott?
Scott, don't wait. Glenn has convinced me. I'm buying the iTunes copies tomorrow.
Double spend.
Double spend.
I don't normally do that, but double spend. It's a good cause.
Even though it will seriously put a crimp into my vinyl figure buying, I will double spend.
Double spend. Ghostlight. What can I say about Ghostlight? I think this story contains some of Sophie Aldred's best acting. She and Sylvester McCoy had great chemistry, and it shows, even when she's ticked off at him, that he's taken her back to Perryville. I think the Doctor knew Ace needed to confront her demons and could solve the mystery of Gabrielle Chase at the same time. It must work because, not sure if this is a spoiler or not to anyone, but they go back to Perryville again in Survival. I guess that's all I have for now. Well, she found some good to say about it and didn't say anything else.
There you go.
I guess that's all I have for now. I must get back to preparing for Halloween. Those decorations won't build themselves. Rachel, we expect pictures soon.
Yes.
So when you get them done, we want to see.
And I want to hear what quotes you're going to use. That
That's
was
right.
Rachel, right?
Oh,
That was
yeah.
Rachel. That was Rachel. Yeah, she's doing a Doctor Who theme Halloween decoration. So
Up next is Chrissy. She writes, "Missing no more and missing plot elements."
Wonder which one's which.
Dear Vortex Boys, after a whole summer of getting our hopes up and being disappointed, and getting our hopes up again and being disappointed again, and getting mad when we hear rumors floated around yet again, hooray for found missing episodes!
Hooray!
hooray!
And not just any old missing episodes, but full second Doctor stories. Stories with Victoria, and immediately available on iTunes. And everyone's denials and no comments, those were cleaned up and ready to be marketed pretty fast. Good grief. If you can't trust the BBC, who can you trust? That was sarcasm, by the way. I'm finding that people have a hard time sensing my brand of dry humor, especially online.
I got it.
I did too.
I did too. But I do have one teeny tiny little question. The guy who found the episodes, Philip Morris, isn't he the same Philip Morris who back in June sent out that angry all caps memo that all the missing Doctor Who episodes were gone forever and then stopped bugging him about it and the Tooth Fairy isn't real? If you don't remember, here's an article with the memo. She included a link. Not that I'm not grateful to him for all his work in recovering these episodes. It's just funny that's what he said then compared to what he's saying now. I guess there were negotiations still going on over the return of the tapes, and if anything could upset those negotiations, but still, it's something to remark on.
Let me touch on that because I've been waiting to talk about this because while Sean paints a rosy picture of the BBC and the clever manipulating they've done in Balls in the Air, which I can kind of see some of that, I think what happened was in June, this story got out too soon. It leaked. And I don't think we got 2 and 2 equals chair. I think that we got pretty close to this because when people were weeding this down, we said, 106 episodes, which now, if they really do have them, that piece of it will be true. I mean, and not 106, but several episodes. In fact, I saw a report, I think Bleeding Cool was saying not 106, but 90.
Yeah.
The 106 didn't come out until the Mirror did it just last week.
Yeah.
Last weekend. But, so, 90 episodes probably could be found. I think what happens is I think damage control kicked in. And the BBC, instead of trying to figure out ways of subduing this or maybe verifying this, they took a different tactic this time. Because what's happened before is the BBC is quick to turn and say, yes, that rumor is true. Now their new tactic is, because they want to keep the surprise in the can, their new tactic is just a flat-out lie. And I think that's what they're doing now. And that's actually not good PR. That's not a good way to market. You can't, when something comes out, you can deny or be tight-lipped about it, but you can't flat-out do this kind of thing and lie. And
Sure,
I think,
you can.
I think
you know
that's,
why? Because Moffat's running the show.
I think that's
we have the ultimate liar in charge.
But I think that's the problem with that, because that's very disgenuine to do to your public.
I didn't say it was nice.
Well,
I just said that's the way they're doing it.
I think that's why, yes, this was Philip Morris, supposedly a quote from Philip Morris in all caps in the memo, saying that that's what they're doing, is because they think lying then will serve them better later as a surprise, because we will forgive them that they lied to us because there was a surprise.
Yeah.
The problem with this particular set of rumors is that lie did not kill the rumor. It still continued to fester. In fact, we got this whole roller coaster ride that we went through.
Well, and that's why it's 2 + 2
unfortunately, if it had shut it down in the beginning, and then we went this whole time thinking, okay, well, they're really not there, and then surprise, hey, they are. That would have been a softer blow for me. But to have this continue to come up and still have in the back of my mind that Philip Morris emphatically said no and lied.
I think that's why I was so very dismissive in any of the rumors that came back up.
See, and that does present a problem to me as a fan.
Well, so. I think it does, but that's why it's the way it was, because nobody, when the rumor initially broke, if you remember what we were talking about, is the idea that there was this, and I think the exact quote was, huge treasure trove of episodes found. I think that was how it was initially worded. And they started talking about the fact that they were shipping them to somewhere in England, and somebody got a look at the shipping manifest, and that's where the Dad's Army reference came from. Yeah. And could Doctor Who be part of this? And then Ian Levine chimed in on it and said something to the effect of it was like 2 tons worth of material that was being shipped over.
I don't think that was Ian. I think he was mostly confirming.
Well, because he had made the comment that I've seen a boatload of evidence indicating that it's real.
And then he turned tail very quickly
afterwards. That is exactly what happened, is that somebody started piecing together this very bizarre sequence of events and they found New Who episodes, and everybody jumped on it, and the BBC panicked, because they were like, we've got them, and we're cleaning them up currently, and we don't want people to know about it. And I think Philip Morris issued his statement, and I think they went to Ian Levine and said, don't ruin this for the 50th, please keep your trap shut. And he issued a retraction statement and everything. I think everybody's playing ball. I guarantee that's what it is. I think Moffat is such a masterful storyteller, liar, whatever you want to call him, that he's got everybody on board with the idea of it. And so this whole thing about there are not going to be any classic Doctors in Doctor... Sure. Yeah, I believe you, Moff. I believe you. You just keep telling me that.
Has Moffat actually said that there isn't going to?
No. I don't think he's actually said.
Moffat doesn't lie. He just doesn't...
No, Moffat's lied. We've caught Moffat lies before. I can't remember, but I remember last year talking about 2 or 3 things that we were like, hey, he said there wasn't this, and then there was... I mean, the Daleks was one. There'll be no returning Daleks.
There'll be no returning Daleks.
And then there they were.
That's true.
And then there was another thing that was right after that he said there will be no this, and then there was. He said he wouldn't split up a season. That was one of the other things that he lied about. I will not split it up between 2 years, putting a Christmas special in the middle. And then he split it up between 2 years and put a Christmas special. Yeah, one. Moffat lies. I'll give you that.
That's the thing, though, is that Moffat lies to me in the same way that the Doctor lies to his companions. I think that yes, he lies, but it's always for your own good. And so I'm willing to let it go.
Maybe this is why I have more of a problem of it. Is I have kids. And when my kids lie to me and then I find out the truth later, it's worse for them that they lie.
Yeah.
When I find the truth out than if they'd have told me the truth then, and then they just get in trouble for what they did. But now they're suddenly double trouble because they lied to me. So maybe that's the problem I have with anybody saying, even though they think it's for the better good.
Yeah.
Anybody
I totally buy
flat
that.
out lying about something and then turning around and saying, oh, no, we really did have it. Here you go, surprise, and think I'm going to be happy about it? That's not cool. So, I mean, I'm still happy that we have
this editorial brought to you by Grumpy Bear Vortex.
Don't get me wrong.
Who's upset they found new episodes.
I'm still excited. No, I'm not upset they found new episodes. I'm upset that they lied about it.
I think they could as well as they could have.
I think they could have handled it better than that.
When the rumors started circulating, they could have quelled it by saying, yes, we have found some episodes. We are not ready to say what episodes we have found, but we have found some.
Nah, that would have started a firestorm.
Yeah, I fall down on that side of it, too. I think that...
We will announce at a later date which episodes we found, but we have found 9.
See, I don't think you could have dropped how many you had, either, because then people would have figured out what they had.
There's no good way to handle this if it's leaked.
Really not. But lying isn't a good way, either, so...
Then how would you have handled it?
I don't know. But I know there's a better way than flat out lying. I think I would have preferred
Philip
know
Morris lied about
earlier.
it. The BBC didn't lie about it. Philip Morris
No,
doesn't.
the BBC. I should go
this
back
quote
on.
is from him speaking on behalf of the Television International Enterprise Archive,
Yes, that quote is. Now, let me go see if I can find
where
the
he emphatically
BBC's.
says they were destroyed.
Let me see if I can go find the BBC's.
Let me. I'm gonna actually, while you're looking for that up, I'm actually going to read the quote that Chrissy posted, and this is from Bleeding Cool News. Film archivist Philip Morris of the Television International Episode Archive, who has spent decades traveling the world looking for, let's call it, insecure media, has issued the following statement regarding his believed involvement with the recovery of a large amount of missing Doctor Who episodes. Much of it is capitals. A brief statement. TIEA does not hold any missing episodes of the long-running Doctor Who series. The original videotapes were wiped. Subsequent film copies were either returned to the BBC and sent to landfill. Odd fragments have surfaced, 2 episodes on 16mm film, but that's it. The programs in question, like many others, were destroyed as they had no further commercial value. They are not missing, but destroyed. The end. And then, not in caps. I'm sorry if this upsets some people, but these are the facts. I have also become aware they are tracking some of our client shipments. These are local cultural materials sent to us for migration to a modern format, as the playback equipment in the country of origin no longer exists, and as such is best road to preserve international cultural heritage. I will be making no more statements on this subject. Philip Morris, Executive Director, TIEA.
I forgot that it was Castor Boris that said last November we became aware of the possibility of lost episodes of Doctor Who had been uncovered. I think that's probably when they found them, was last November.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that. I can't find the exact quote, Keith, from the BBC, but they initially said no, it's rubbish, that it doesn't, that the rumors are not true.
I don't remember.
Ian Levine tweeted in response, "Deeply sick, distressed, disheartened, all hopes dashed, all joy gone from the world. That's it. Do not ask me to say another word." All caps.
All right, let's get on with Chrissy's rest of her.
She writes, anyway, it's good to have The Enemy of the World and Web of Fear back and watchable. I've watched Enemy of the World, and it may be one of my new favorites. It's so nice to finally have a context for Episode 3, which is the only piece piece of it we had before. It's a really fantastic story. I even said so on my blog, and thank you, Glenn, for posting my review on your guys' website. I was really flattered when you asked if you could. So yay, found episodes, and here's hoping there may be more out there. Anyone planning a trip to Outer Mongolia soon?
We can't even get to Chicago.
And it's a really good thing that these episodes were announced this week. Otherwise, I was going to take you through the task for spreading rumors and getting my hopes up needlessly. So count your blessings, boys.
All right, let me say this. Here's what we should do. We should go to the BBC, and we just say, all of this money that you're making from iTunes on these 2 episodes that are trending in the top 10 everywhere, you give that money to us, and we'll go find the other missing episodes.
I
Travel
would.
the world.
First place we're checking is Chicago, November 29th.
You never know.
29th.
Could you imagine? What do you do for a living? My paid gig is to travel the world looking for lost episodes of Doctor Who. So where do I sign up for this?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll drop everything in a heartbeat to go take that
That's
gig on.
why
Because
BBC
I know how to do it. They wrote me a
has to
manual.
make-
I have to go to the broom closet and look on the shelf.
That's why BBC worldwide has to make money off of these iTunes, and they're doing a fantastic job, but don't feel like that's enough. Somebody else is buying them, and they're ranking high. Keep buying those off of iTunes.
And if you buy these 2 episodes off of iTunes, we will chip in this disappearing TARDIS mug on our part of our pledge drive.
I've got an idea.
An invisible TARDIS.
I got an idea.
It's just a white coffee mug.
If you buy the episodes on iTunes, and you send us a note, say, I want a picture so I know that you really bought them. Somehow show me that you bought these episodes on iTunes. Send us a note in feedback. Send it to feedback@travelingvortex.com. I will take everybody who has purchased those episodes. I will take every one of you. I'll put your names in a hat, and I'll draw for a nice little vinyl figure toy. Not one of yours. I'm not taking yours. I'll go buy
A figure.
maybe 2.
A Titans
Titans mini vinyl figure.
Ooh.
It'll probably be from the David Tennant wave, but maybe it'll
we'll
be
have
from
the
the Doctor's wave.
by
We'll
the time
see.
we get those in.
But I'll buy 2 of them. You guys want to pitch up and buy more? That's right. We'll draw the names out of a hat. Now, that's the rules. You have to show me that you've purchased it on iTunes, and you're not. It's not like you're getting something for nothing because you're getting 2 great Patrick Troughton episodes. Even if you plan to buy
have to
on
buy
DVD.
both, or just one?
Just buy one, and I'll put your name in a hat. But you got to show me some sort of proof.
How about an entry for each one you buy?
Yeah.
Oh, an entry for each. Yeah, that'll
That's a
work.
good one.
For
There you
each
go.
one you buy, you get an entry. We're formulating these rules. You don't count.
I'm not
buying you.
eligible?
No, you're not eligible.
Damn it.
Anybody on this show is not eligible. I will buy 2 of these vinyl figures, unopened, so you won't know what you're getting. I'll draw names
Wow,
out of
that's
a
gonna be
hat,
challenging.
and the person that I draw their name, you get a chance to win 2 vinyl figures of Doctor Who.
Will we send them to
what I'm saying.
them unopened?
Yeah, they will go unopened. I'm not going to open your vinyl figures because I'm not going to swap out for ones that I didn't get.
I just thought it'd be fun. Okay, this person got this.
No, I'm
and
not opening
they
their
get
vinyl
this stuff.
figures.
They
They
this
get the
figure.
joy of opening that box and finding out what vinyl figure.
All right, there you go, listeners.
Right there. That's how much of a crusade I am for. You'd think I work for iTunes or BBC Worldwide or somebody. I don't, but I know how this works.
You
This
understand
is
that we
revenue
potentially, according to my mother,
for
we
this kind of
potentially have
thing.
thousands of listeners that could be at this moment going and buying iTunes.
That's
That's
terrific.
great. It's
Okay.
still only 2 people will win.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. We're just going to need a really big hat.
2 people are winning?
Well, if you buy 2.
If you buy 2
Well,
figures.
maybe we all should buy 1.
I was
And
going to
then
buy. Okay, that's fine, and that'll give more people a chance to
Yeah,
win. I was going to
we
buy
each-
2 and give it to the top,
Oh,
the
2
person we drew their name.
Oh, I thought
see.
We could do it
each
that way
name-
too. We could
one name, and yeah,
we could draw 3 names, and each one of them gets a vinyl.
This is
figure.
how we do contests here at Traveling the
Yeah,
Vortex. We
on
make
the
up
fly.
the rules while we go.
on the fly.
Oh, we need a deadline.
When is this going to be posted?
Well, this will go up tomorrow because I'm off.
Oh, that's true.
I don't
you
want to do a
remember
week.
to
I want to
post.
give everybody a couple of weeks. So let's set a deadline for
Halloween.
Oh, Halloween's good. October 31st.
That's 15 days,
That's
or
15.
more than 15.
Because
days.
then we'll record on Sunday and we'll reveal the winner of the.
There we go.
Yes, so
Get
you got
your
till
stuff to us
October
by
31st
by
to
October 31st.
convince me that you've purchased it on iTunes. Now it could be a screen cap of your screen. Now don't give me your iTunes number or credit card numbers or anything like that. And
Receipts.
yeah, no, receipts would be okay. Just block out the pertinent numbers. But show me that you've bought it on iTunes, and I will put your name in the hat. We will draw 3 winners randomly of all the people that send in submissions. I genuinely I feel that good about this. I think that this is the way we get more episodes. I think this is the way we've proved to the BBC that there is money to be made from those of us that will double buy these kind of things, because I'm going to go out and buy the DVDs as well, so they've got my money twice. But I got instant gratification on these episodes. I get to watch, Enemy of the World for at least a month before, or 2 months. It comes out this next month, so for at least a month before anybody else that's waiting to watch it on DVD. I get to watch Web of Fear until January or February. And I'm going to purchase it again because later I'm going to buy it for those specials and additional stuff on them as well. So I'm getting something then as well for my money.
Yeah.
So I truly believe this is the way to go. And these guys know me. I'm a liberal. Capitalism is bad sometimes. But when done correctly, this is the way to do it, guys. That's if you send them your money, they will turn it for us. I promise. This is how we prove to them that classic Doctor Who is still a viable merchandise for them. Is a viable stream of revenue. So I'm pleading with everybody, and I'm sorry I've been pounding this whole time, but I really believe that it's a good thing to buy these things on iTunes. Don't pirate them. Don't download your friends' copies. Eventually we'll get through Chrissy's email here.
She continues. So reviews for this week's 7th Doctor stories. Ghostlight. Pineapple pastrami with mango and chicken feet. Have faces been real and all in the time? Chinese finger liver is actually best in street. Chrissy, I think you have word salad. Large green bedtime isn't for she. Hat day could do for you. Holy cow, not responsible for your vehicle. Be careful of landslide. Potential danger is worse than naked fire. Room a foreign visitor. Warmy washes sends the room. Traveler from to get into by bus. Pest the core of crab over fish and kleptomaniac. Peculiar coffee. Fat guy furrier tailor made keeping good repair. And Ace gets character development.
So, Chrissy, how many A, fortune cookies did you have to open to get that many? B, are you using your refrigerator poetry?
Salad?
Is that how you're putting these together? Or C, do you have some sort of random generator on your computer to do this? Because if not, that's impressive.
You might want to see a doctor.
And that's exactly what Ghostlight wraps up Ghostlight, and it's full.
And we're done on the schedule for next week.
That's it. That's my review of Ghostlight. I'd like to point out that it made it just as much sense as the actual story. In this case, conventional fan wisdom had it exactly right. It feels like there are some crucial scenes missing, or that it was trying to do three very different stories and cram them all into one. And it failed miserably. Maybe the person doing the editing was an idiot. I really don't know. I mean, the Doctor and Ace are pretty good to watch, but that's because we already know them. The rest, I don't even care. This one, at least I can understand why the DVD is out of print.
Ow.
Fires of Vulcan.
You know who's really smarting right now? Keith, because he bought it. At least you didn't. At least you got it at the basement value.
At the cheap
You didn't have
price.
to go out there and go, oh, now I have to buy a marked up copy because it's out of print. You imagine if you searched and searched and searched and you went, oh, Ghostlight, I'm going to have to pay $49.99 for it because it's out of print. But oh well, we're going to watch it and review it, so I'll buy it. And then you buy it,
It's
got
Doctor
this piece.
Who.
Now you know why I didn't buy it.
We'd like to apologize to any of our listeners who did.
Well, thankfully,
iTunes had a
Chrissy
copy.
and Brittany started pointing out that, hey, it's on iTunes. Go get it there because it's only $5.99.
She continues. Which $6 might be a little steep for it too. The Fires of Vulcan.
And no extras.
Yeah. At least I had the chance on the DVD to have it explained to me.
Maybe.
Maybe the commentary track will explain what's happening.
Maybe.
Because the commentary is with the writer.
Oh, well, maybe. If the writer couldn't explain it to you when he was writing it, I really hope that he can explain it to you while you're watching
scenes, it could be cut out. He could explain it.
We'll see.
You never know.
Never trust writers. They lie.
And that's why I always believe Keith, but not you. That's your answer.
That's my answer.
But I write for a living.
Yeah, but you write factual information, too.
It's true.
You're not a writer, you're a journalist.
That's true.
I have to believe you.
Good, because I'm a journalist. Hey, I have a half-finished novel over there on that computer.
Well,
And that's
when
what's-
I've read it, maybe I'll stop believing you.
I don't know if I want to subject you to that. Oh, okay, Fires of Vulcan. The whole time I was listening to this, I kept wondering, how big is Pompeii? Because the 10th Doctor and Donna have been there somewhere, right? I can only conclude that Seven and Mel are on one side of town and 10 and Donna are on the other side. And yep, that's all I got for this one. The time paradox didn't really do it for me, though. I couldn't really accept the TARDIS being found in the ruins of Pompeii. It didn't quite work on an emotional level for me. Mostly because I know the Doctor must escape Pompeii, because I know there are future stories with him and Mel. I mean, I can emotionally get invested in other situations where the Doctor is captured and facing impossible odds, and I know he'll get out of it, and I can enjoy the story. But for some reason, I didn't quite buy into this one. And because of that, I can't really get into the rest of the story. Sorry if the rest of you did like it, but I didn't. I didn't completely hate it, though. It's just not my favorite. Well, I'm off to a birthday party. Really, it's just cake and ice cream for my roommate's friend, but it was nice of her to invite me along. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you all later. Chrissy. P.S. Thank you, Google Image Search, for bad Chinese to English translations, for providing me with the text for my review for Ghostlight.
I wondered where she got it. That's awesome, though. Yeah, that.
I wonder how much searching she had to do still.
And then finally,
Holly.
we have Holly.
Holly writes, "Hey guys, what a week for Doctor Who fandom. Some lost episodes were found. It was great that the BBC made them for release right away digitally on iTunes. I know for sure I'll be getting the DVD versions of these when they come out. Or I know for sure I'll also be getting the DVD versions of these when they come out." Thank you.
All right, so Chrissy bought one for sure, because she bought one and reviewed it. And looks like Holly will probably get 2
I
entries.
think Brittany did as well.
Brittany brought it?
Brittany bought it, but she hadn't watched it yet.
She hadn't watched it yet, so. Now, I still require you guys to submit. I'm not going to count these as submissions. You still have to submit that you purchased them.
Because we haven't made the official announcement.
Right,
It would be unfair to backdate our announcement.
Exactly.
So.
We're not going to backdate it. So if you want to be included, now we know that you guys have at least purchased them. So get in that drawing. Final Figs. We're probably the only ones excited about Final Figs because we're going. We've bought into the addiction. Need more. In fact, I'm going to have Sean go open the store tonight so I can get my fix.
Ghostlight. Talk about your Halloween-type story. We have a Neanderthal man that almost looks a bit like Igor and is called Nimrod, just like one of the characters in the Project Twilight audio. We also see a little bit of the manipulative side of the Doctor by bringing Ace back to Paravel and the house that she set on fire because of the bad feelings it gave her. Light was a rather interesting character, and so was Lady Pritchard. I have to say this story really kept my attention because it was never made clear right off the bat who was the actual villain/bad guy in the story. I also have to say that I think the costumes that were used in this episode looked fantastic. Plus, I'm thinking that Ace might also want to rethink her hairstyle just a bit. If you want to go with braids, that's fine. Just make sure your hair is all up on your head. I can't remember how many times in the story she got her hair yanked to follow whoever had her. The ending was interesting, with the Doctor somewhat apologizing to Ace, and I loved Ace's line at the end that her only regret was that she should have blown the house up instead of setting fire to it. Fires of Vulcan. Volcano Day, yet again. I have to say that Mel didn't grate on me too much in this story, and we have the Doctor yet again saying how history can't be changed. Nice touch with the Doctor thinking ahead how to get out of Pompeii with the TARDIS. His line at the end about cheating and not getting caught had me chuckling. I'll wrap it up here. Looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts on these two stories. Holly from Wisconsin.
Yay.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly. She actually had some positive things to
She
say
did
about
have some
Ghostlight.
positive things. Yeah.
And those are probably all the positive things we would bring up.
Probably.
Well, let's find out.
Yeah, let's do this one and get it out of the way.
Ghostlight. London, 1983. An old house mysteriously burns to the ground. 100 years earlier, the Doctor and Ace arrive at a sinister mansion.
Did I miss the house burning to the ground at the beginning of the story? I don't remember
No,
that.
it's only described in this. And explained later.
Yeah, they explain it later.
That would have been cool. They could have shown the house burning to the ground and then did 100 years earlier and then revealed that Ace is the one that did it. That'd have been cool.
Well, she didn't burn it 100 years ago, though.
No, but later we would learn
Burns
that.
in 1980. Okay.
But it was
we would
1883.
later learn
when
that she was the one that set the fire.
Right. She did burn it down
100
100 years later.
Yeah.
Later, yes.
That's
I
what
meant
that's
100
what he's
years
saying.
ago.
Well,
I see what you're saying.
what I mean.
I see what
Yeah.
I was reading it backwards.
The Doctor and Ace arrive at a sinister mansion in the rural hamlet of Perivale. Horrors old and new await the Doctor amongst the peculiar residents of Gabrielle Chase. But it is Ace who must confront her own worst nightmares when she discovers that her past and the house's future are inextricably linked. Good use of the word inextricably.
Inextricably.
That's it.
Anybody want to dispute the horn?
I wouldn't
Despite
give
the
it-
fact that
well,
Holly almost had me talked out of it with everything good that she talked about in the episode.
We've been doing this show for more than 2 years now. And I have inevitably always brought up, not every show or anything, but through over the course of several years, I have brought up the fact
Pounding this home.
that Ghostlight is not a very good story.
No.
But I don't think I've ever said I hated it, because it's no twin dilemma. But and it's definitely not
I
a
watched
unicorn.
this-
It's definitely not a unicorn on the west.
I watched this and I think, can
But
Twin
but you
Dilemma be that
can't-
much worse?
But
How
you
much
certainly
worse
can't
is Twin
say
Dilemma?
that I didn't warn you. Okay, but I think I have always come down on the side that this story is very convoluted and very disconnected
I don't
and
think
disjointed.
I will say I don't think you've ever given us a reason
Yeah,
for
you've
your
never explained,
dislike
you
of
just-
Ghostlight. You've
Yeah.
just gone.
Here's
Like,
the thing:
here's the picture of the guy. I mean, he's just.
if I hated this, I probably would not have joined in on Friday Night this week. Friday Night Who this week.
So when we do Twin Dilemma, you're not going to join in?
I probably
I'm going to require you as part of your job description as podcaster to join in on Twin Dilemma.
Would have not watched this for a third time, because this is my third viewing of Ghostlight, guys. Part of that problem is, for exactly what I think you guys found an issue with this, what is the dang story other than the fact that we're unraveling the mystery of why Ace burnt down this house?
Because it made her feel icky.
Yeah, exactly.
And there
That's
were parts
all
of it
we
that
need
made
to know.
sense, but none of it gelled at all.
No,
if this had
none of
been
it
a
gelled at all.
ghost story, I would have been fine with it. Had it been alien influence or something imprinted on the memory of the house, that would have been fine. But
We would
what
have griped
this
about it
does,
likely, but...
yeah, well, no, because I've always said that if it's like scientifically explained, here's what happened. Somebody decided they wanted to scientifically explain a haunted house, and they threw everything they could find in that junk drawer in the kitchen into the story.
And then they watched Rocky Horror when they were really, really high.
Oh my gosh. That's the only
didn't get
redeeming
Rocky
quality
Horror
is every
about
time
it.
somebody pops up, I go, there's another Rocky Horror character. Oh, there's Riff
They
Raff.
even had
There's
the
Frankenstein.
padded elevator.
I have watched this 3 times. I still can't tell you what this story's about. Now,
I
the
got
beauty
parts
of it this time is I was able, and again, because I'm going through this renaissance of Seventh Doctor, I was again forced myself to focus on the Doctor and Ace in this story, which I thoroughly enjoy. I thoroughly enjoy their interactions together. I thoroughly enjoy the story that they're weaving with Ace's background and what has happened and why she's so afraid to admit what's going on. First of all, she's mad at the Doctor that he's brought her here, and he won't open up and tell her, or she won't open up and tell him what happened here in her past and why this place bothers her so much. And I like that little thread that we get throughout there, and the discovery.
For me, it's not enough to carry it.
Well, that's just it. So I was able to focus on that and actually get a little nugget of love out of that, and see who's fast becoming one of my favorite Doctors. Is the Seventh Doctor. The problem is he's packaged poorly. It's like when I was a kid, they used to sell toys in boxes. You couldn't go into the store and see bubble, ships and stuff fully assembled in bubble packaging. That didn't happen when I was a kid. So they sold them in boxes. And there were toy lines that did it really, really good. Star Wars, Kenner was fantastic. Transformers was fantastic. I even thought G.I. Joe, even though most of the time it was cartoon, it was an animated or a cartoon version of the ship you were going to get, did a fantastic job. And then there were companies like, I think Toy Fair was one of them, that was horrible. You had no idea what you were getting in that box. Why would you? Number one, it wasn't in color. It wasn't black and white. It was brown with black print on it, and
it was the mystery box.
It might have been a really cool toy inside of there, but am I going to yank on Mom's sleeve and say, hey, buy me this? No, I'm going to go yank on a sleeve and get that. That's what happens with Doctor Who stories in the Seventh Doctor's era, is they're packaged so poorly, so I don't realize that the Seventh Doctor is actually a really good toy. Because the packaging stinks.
There's your episode title.
And so the Seventh Doctor is this nugget in this really bad packaging every time. And that really bad packaging has just turned my stomach for all these years. And I have now had to dig into that package, this 3rd or 4th time run of going through Sylvester McCoy's stories. I'm finally digging into that package and I'm finding the prize in there. And so that's ultimately what has happened. And I'll readily admit that that's what's happened.
I don't know that I've ever heard a better description for the Seventh Doctor ever, because it's not just that the packaging on the outside is bad, it's that now you've got to rip it open only to find that it's new toy packaging on the inside, and that he's got them stupid little indestructible twist ties that hold him to the cardboard backing inside the box.
Which didn't exist when I was a kid, but man, they're a pain in the butt with my kids
and
now.
then they've got the plastic zip lines that go over those and all that, and you've got to get like an industrial Swiss Army knife to get through that.
Or nail clippers.
No, those don't work either, because it's like wire, plastic coated wire holding that in there. And you get through all of that, and you've destroyed the rest of the box to get the toy out. Only discover there's no batteries. Batteries were not included.
And it wasn't labeled properly.
And it wasn't labeled
The
properly.
1970 equivalent would be when you opened up that really cool toy that was beautifully assembled on the outside,
And
and it was in 5,000 pieces
Had to
that
put it
took your
together.
dad 2.5 hours to put together.
Unfortunately for Ghostlight, while the Doctor is great in it, there's not enough of him being great in it to make up for anything.
That's true.
And the bits with Ace are great. And Ace is good. And the Doctor's good. But they're like in this small little bubble. And the bubble is like the house bubble on Doctor's wife. It's a small pocket universe.
Itty bitty.
Itty bitty.
So,
It's the size of a vinyl Sontaran
it's a
fig
Sontaran fig.
compared to the actual size of a Sontaran.
I had never seen Ghostlight before. I had no idea what we were in for. I remember the packaging and the scary guy on the cover.
I was waiting for him to show up like the first 2 episodes.
I know.
Where is this dude?
Didn't he seem like he ought to be the owner of the house?
Yeah,
or
he should be
the
main
ghost
guy.
that's inhabiting the
Well, he
house or
is the
something.
ghost
He's
that's
technically
inhabiting
the ghost that inhabits the house. But okay, so here's what's wrong with Ghostlight in 10,000 words or less. It started.
The end.
We land here. The Doctor's being manipulative. He's dragging Ace along. She doesn't want to go. He's doing the direction. I'm actually this guy. No, I'm not. But that's okay. I'm going to pretend to be this guy. And we've got this random cast of characters. We've got Nimrod the caveman,
Riff Raff.
who's Riff Raff. We've got random.
Or somebody else pointed out Lurch from the Adams Family.
Yeah.
We've got random religious doctor who's there to dispute Darwinism,
Which
Which is the professor.
which is the professor.
There's a lot of this that I like that strain of it. I like the idea of these two scientific minds meeting in this mansion to debate science. I'm okay with that. I would watch at least an episode of that before things get weird.
If the other guy had, I don't know, any scientific basis for being able
that's
to...
the thing. It
But he
was
didn't.
it was the religion versus science debate.
Yeah,
Is what it was.
the
It
only
was
thing
them
that the guy...
debating evolution on if it was real or not.
The only thing that the guy could claim to know about evolution is that he was evolving. That's pretty much it. The whole basis for his argument would have been, watch this. I mean,
wait till the sentence.
just wait. There's nothing you can do with that.
They don't explain how or why he's evolving.
What is he evolving into?
What is he evolving from?
What is he? Yeah.
Why?
And they talk about these husks. Oh, we've got the husks in the basement. Oh, they used to be him. Well, why do they got insect
is
heads?
There was a line about genetic manipulation.
Was there? You got more out of it than I did.
Okay, good. I didn't make that up. I didn't try to retcon that in my mind.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was a line about genetic manipulation. So it's like he's
Evolved from a bug.
I don't know.
I guess
I don't know if he evolved from a bug, if he was trying to evolve himself beyond being human.
See, and I just took away
and the
from it that it
tests-
was one of these many steps in the evolution.
I guess, but how he went from insect to lizard to human, that doesn't make sense to me. That's not how evolution works.
If he did, though.
That's true.
Sorry, I'm bringing science into this.
And now I'm going to lay the smack down with some Bill Nye. You can't do that. If he did, though, that actually kind of explains a little bit more about why he's got the butterflies on the walls and people in the drawer. Because
they don't explain how he has all that and how he kept the guy for 2 years in the drawer.
embalming fluid.
And he was able to get up and walk around okay. All right.
It's very strong stuff. And then I'm sorry. I know everybody loves Ace. I love Ace. I love Ace as much as the next person, and everybody wants to talk about how great Ace was in this. I think I'm going to draw a distinction here. I think Sophie Aldred was great in this. I think she did do some really fine acting for what she was given. I think Ace was terrible. I think Ace is a companion compared to the Ace we've gotten.
The
compared
Ace we
to
know
the
and
Ace
love by
that
this point,
went
'cause
to
this
town
was-
on the Dalek with the baseball bat.
This is what, the 3 away from the end? 3rd away from the end?
Not quite that,
There's
but close.
Curse and then...
No, this is it. There's Ghostlight, Curse of Fenric, and then Survival.
Oh, really?
I believe that's right.
So they really ended with the Ace trilogy.
I believe that's right.
That's why they called it that.
But the Ace that we know and love, the Ace that's a strong female character, the Ace that went to town on the Dalek with a baseball bat, gets into a house, has creepy feelings, yells at the doctor for bringing her here, continually at odds with him, and then...
Go change clothes. Okay, I'm going to put on a suit.
Well, that's Ace. That part, at least, was Ace. Is, I'm going to go put on the tuxedo as opposed to the girly dress you left out for me. Okay, I'm going to give you that one. But then, when she gets into one of these rows with the doctor, what does she do? And he's making her feel uncomfortable. I'm going to run to the padded elevator and go to the basement. Because in every haunted house ever, the basement's a safe place to go to. The basement makes sense. There's no way out of the basement. She's smarter than that. I didn't buy that at all.
Unfortunately...
And then there are things, big surprise, there's things in the basement.
Unfortunately, whoever wrote this, I don't think... Seems like he doesn't know anything about Ace as a character, but they want to try to incorporate these things.
Mark Platt.
And he thought, okay, she's a 16-year-old. Or 17, or how old she is.
16.
I'm going to write her as a 16-year-old. The things she does are very appropriate for a 16-year-old to react to.
Yeah.
It's just not appropriate for Ace to react this way.
Yeah, that's true.
Ace has already grown to be a woman, even though she's 16 by now, so she wouldn't act.
It's like the writer didn't know what she'd gone through.
Well, and I think they commented that, I don't remember if this was the last one that was actually produced, even though it aired out of order because Survival was aired last, but I think this was the last one actually made.
According to TARDIS Wiki, Survival's next in production order.
Right, but
it was this and that production.
This then Survival, even though it aired before Curse of Fenric.
Yes, Curse of Fenric was on first, and then this one.
So here's the problem though. There is a cool nugget of a story in here.
There's a couple cool nuggets.
They're just they're different nuggets from
We
different.
just don't understand what they all are.
They're different nuggets from different plants, and you can't graft them together. The idea that light is this alien spaceship that crashed on Earth or landed on Earth, and its job is to catalog the planet. Okay. There's one of those, and one of those, and one of those, and one of those. I'm done. Oh, wait, this is evolved. Okay, well, now there's one of those. And now there's one of those. Okay, now I'm done. Oh, wait, it's changed again. Mm-hmm. And then it's gone a little wonky because 100,000 years of work is now chucked and starting over. That's a Star Trek idea. That's a really cool science fiction plot. Yeah, all right. Mm-hmm. Why was Light
asleep?
Realized as this guy? Mm-hmm. Why was it this half crazy, ghostly, luminous being?
When we started, spoke way up here. And then by the end of the episode, he's almost down to his normal voice.
He almost doesn't care anymore.
Really?
And they don't really explain control very well.
Well, control?
Or why
you mean Olga?
Yeah. Why they suddenly went into sudden hibernation for no reason.
She reminded us the voice that she was doing. Totally, I was like, Olga from Dark Crystal, and it was like, oh, that's the chick. And I went and looked her up because I was certain that was the chick. It's not, but
yeah, in a woman's voice. I mean, a more womanly voice.
Yeah,
yeah.
And they don't explain how Nimrod got to present day or whatever. He's a Neanderthal from that time period.
That life saved as the last Neanderthal.
Saved as he was.
I guess I missed that.
Yeah,
but
and then this.
How he survived from Neanderthal times to now, they didn't talk about.
Yeah, I guess he kept him in the hibernation, trying to preserve him.
And then the other guy broke him out.
Yeah,
sure, I'll go with that.
Because the guy who wears his sunglasses at night needs a butler.
I wear my sunglasses.
Sounds likely.
He looks. There's something he looks. I can't put my finger on who he looks like.
Mel thought she recognized him too, and it wasn't him.
It's the sunglasses and the pail.
Yeah,
makes him look like somebody else.
Yeah, and then there's the big game hunter
who's gone mad and seeing lights for no reason.
And then there's the woman that owns the house and her daughter. And then there's
he reminds me of this guy I used to work named Paul in that shot. Okay. Paul never wore sunglasses, but I don't know why.
Was he? That
reminds
pale?
me of Paul from Duncan's.
Oh, from Duncan's?
In that shot there. Not necessarily in the episode.
Maybe. I could see that.
I don't know why.
And then what's with the robot nuns? Or not nuns, chambermaids, whatever they were.
Are they robots?
I don't know. They were under possession or hypnosis or... You know.
I don't know. I
don't
wish
know.
I could. You guys are bringing up all these wonderful points, all these wonderful questions that I've had for 2.5 years.
You know what?
And I wish I could answer them. Most of the time, you guys will throw questions at me when there's a problem you guys have with the story. And sometimes, most of the time, I can go, well, this is because of this. It's busy. I can't do that on this. And it makes me mad.
And a little sad.
A lot sad.
Very confused.
Very confused.
There was not a lot of tweeting going on
There
for
really
Friday Night
wasn't.
Who with this. And I think it was because everybody was sitting there slack-jawed on their couch going,
Well, Caitlin was asleep. She fell asleep at about midway point of episode 2, maybe even later in episode 2. She was
Holly's
out for
comments
almost nearly all of it.
that it caught her attention. That was just because you had to try to pay so close of attention just to keep track of what's going on and trying to figure out what's going on.
James started to nod off. He was having difficulty doing it. And he would kind of wake himself up, and then he'd look over, and Mel was like... So he was like, well, I'm glad it's not just me.
To be fair to Ghostlight, that's not uncommon for Mel.
Well, yeah, that's true.
You know why I got quiet? And it was about the same time everybody else got quiet. Because what happened to me was, I went back and I was like, okay, I'm becoming uninterested in this story again. I'm going to go back and see some of the comments that I missed in my tweet stream. That's the only reason I got quiet, is because I was going back reading things I might have missed.
I was just quiet because...
when we're tweeting, I mean, they're rolling through a lot. I miss a lot of stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll go back through and see what I missed and I can make comments on. And then I got up to the top of the stuff that I when I was done, and I got up to the top and wow, nobody's tweeted for a long time.
That's because we're all sitting there like the dog, head tilted, slightly confused.
Ears up.
What's the RCA dog? The little dog with the record player?
Nipper and
Nipper.
Zipper.
Nipper. Is it Nipper?
Nipper. Nipper is the big one, and I think Zipper is the little one.
Mm-hmm.
That's, yeah. I don't know.
I think before I sell this to Glenn or Sean,
That's the
everyone's
sad thing is, he knows I'm a completist, so I'm going to buy it.
and so is he. So I was safe if
Yeah,
I
but
didn't
I
like
called
it
it.
regardless.
I called it.
He
I
did
called
call
it
it first.
first.
I will give you dibs
I'm
on it
still
unless you
chewing the
decide,
fat
I
on
got the
Rain of
iTunes one. I don't need this one.
No,
but-
because I bought iTunes and I'm going to buy this because they're going to double get their money
Okay,
from it.
yeah, you got dibs
So
first.
what I'm thinking of doing
I'll
is
wait for
going
the special edition.
That's what I'm afraid of, because that's old. That's why it's out of print too, I'm sure.
What I'm thinking of doing is going and watching the bonus features first and the Q&A that the writer did, and then maybe watching it with audio commentary to see if that enlightens me more. If I don't feel enlightened enough from the Q&A before rewatching it, I'm going to do an in-depth analysis. Hopefully in the next week. Might take 2 weeks. We'll see.
Will you come back in a couple of weeks and please explain it to us?
I will see if I can explain it any better.
This is the hallmark
And if not,
of it.
I'll just throw it at you.
This is the
Give me my
hallmark
$10.
of a great episode. When you've got your fans out there going, what the F? I'm going to research this episode to figure out what you were trying to tell
I'm going
me.
to comb through every little bit I can.
I'm going to watch all the documentary footage, all the behind-the-scenes featurette, and the audio commentary, and then I'm going to rewatch the episode.
And
That's
then I'm
when you
going to
know.
go find the novelization.
That's when you know you've written a classic. That's when you've just gone.
What's going to suck is
My
you're going
work
to
is
comb through
done.
this,
And I'm going to go, I have nothing.
and then you're going to sell it to me, and I'm going to comb through it and go, I have nothing. And then, like, the next month, they're going to release a special edition, and Sean's going to buy it and comb through it and go, oh, the answer's in the special edition.
Probably.
Stephen Moffat's going to come out next week and say the answers to that regeneration question, they're in Ghostlight. You got to go watch that one.
That's an all-time classic.
How did you miss that?
How did you miss it? It's right there when Light says, "What?" Yes, the costumes were fantastic.
The atmosphere, I
The
love.
Even the okay, let's call it what it is. Even the really hokey cut to the outside shot of the mansion.
There's a line over at the Frankenstein place.
James said the only thing missing was a Scooby-Doo chase down through the doorways of the
I thought
wall.
we were going to have that at
We
one
should have
point.
had that at the end when the things were coming out of the basement.
The difference between this and Rocky is this takes
Rocky's
the atmosphere...
intentionally funny?
Yes. This takes the atmosphere... It tries to take the atmosphere more seriously than Rocky does. It tries to.
Sorry.
Rocky's not as offensive on the eyes.
You know what this
No, it's
needed?
not- it's not as
You know what
offensive
this
on the
needed?
mind.
Meatloaf.
Musical
should have been-
numbers.
Yes. Yeah.
Musical numbers.
Meatloaf would have improved this story
If they'd
immensely.
have
It would've
broke
made so
in
much more
and
sense
sang in between each one of them, I wouldn't have cared what the story was about. I'd have been enjoying it.
If this
I'd
guy would have been a
toast at the screen.
Frankenstein
and-
type guy, and Ghost ended up being a monster in the basement that he's trying to create through evolution, I would have been okay with that.
I'm going to go to one of the theaters here in town, and I'm going to start playing midnight showings of Ghostlight. And I want people to dress up and come act out in front of it, and we'll have audience participation. And maybe we'll even write some songs to include
I
in
think
this.
we found, honestly, I think we found
We'll
our
write
next group
something to the theme
cosplay.
song.
I think we should totally do Ghost or do Light, and we'll put Mel in a tux, and we can dress like these creepy
Oh,
people.
sure. Yeah.
Imagine the reaction what people we get at Galley if
If
we
they
showed
got
up
it.
and the white hair and the little glasses and the pale face, and we walked around like this, and some luminescent guy in a robe. I mean, come on. That's winning.
That's
costume
that is
contest
winning
right there.
cosplay.
That would win.
Yeah, Ghostlight. I've never seen this one before, and I had no idea what it was about. And now that I've seen it, I still have no idea what it's about.
Oh.
I'm surprised there aren't more used copies out there.
I really kind of secretly thought I'd come here and you guys would have had it figured out. But I don't feel so stupid anymore.
Right, I like this. I like this bonus feature. Writer's Question Time. Mark Platt answers audience questions at a 1990 Doctor Who convention.
Ooh, there's an Easter egg on the DVD.
Does it explain the story?
I don't know. I just see how to get it. Maybe we'll pop it in after we're done recording and find out.
Sad thing.
Where is my Planet of the Apes comment card that explains time travel? It's not
The
in
sad
here.
thing about this is the Easter egg is a 30-minute clip that was
The
missing
fourth
from the
episode.
story, and it answered everything in the whole episode, the whole story.
It's things like
I'm thinking
this.
of watching the deleted scenes too,
Well-
just to see if that's how that makes sense. They cut it.
It's things like this that give the end of Who such a bad rep. Because
It's things like this that makes me kind of understand why they got canceled.
well, it's episodes like this that
Confusing
explain
stories
why
and cat people.
Glenn doesn't like Sylvester McCoy. Why? It's Ghostlight. I get that now. John Nathan Turner was crazy. How do we know? Ghostlight?
Ghostlight.
Okay, I'll buy that for $1. I mean, this is the epitome of what was wrong. You know, the only thing that would have been more wrong if the Merca had been in the basement.
no, that would have made everything right.
Well, with us it would have, but realistically it would have been like, yeah, Ghostlight was the nail in the coffin. And then we burned the house
was
down.
the nail in the coffin.
And then we burned the house down. I don't know.
I really hope Curse of Fenric is pretty good.
I wouldn't know. I've only watched about a third of it because Sean Mull made me stop.
I did?
Yeah.
Because if that's the case,
Because we were going to review it?
Yeah, because remember, I'd gone through the Seventh Doctor era, and I'd ended at Ghostlight. Probably that's the reason why. And I had
This
never
show's
watched,
dead to me.
I had never watched Curse of Fenric, and I had never watched Survival. I had seen pieces of Survival, but I'd never watched it all. We picked up and watched Survival early on in our recording.
yeah.
And so I got that one, and then I felt like I needed to go back and get that one last Sylvester
one.
McCoy I had never seen. So I started watching it on Netflix. And I told you the following week, I started Curse of Fenric, and you said, no, wait, we're going to put that on the schedule. I've been waiting for 2 years. Still haven't shown up on the schedule yet.
That's why they call me the master of suspense.
Nah.
I hope Curse of Fenric's good, because otherwise, looking at it, Battlefield is the only thing out of season 26 that I was really a fan of.
You liked
I
Survival.
thought it was okay. Cat people.
I didn't
And
mind
you know,
Cat People.
Can we move on to the really good story for the week?
You know what Mark Platt also wrote?
Despite what Chris
What
had
did
to
Mike
say.
Platt also wrote?
Downtime.
Really?
I do not have high hopes for this now.
Well, why? Well, Downtime is pretty disjointed as well, but it's
So-
got a fan wink.
So I'll go into Downtime expecting it to not make sense and just enjoy seeing
wow,
people I
that
know and
makes a
love.
lot of sense now. That totally makes
Does that
a
fix-
lot of sense.
Does Downtime fix
No,
Ghostlight?
not at all. But now I know why Downtime is the way that it is.
Holy. He wrote
That
Luke,
totally makes
He
sense.
wrote Luke Garreau.
Oh, God.
Spare Parts,
Whoa.
Wait,
Wait a
he
minute.
wrote Spare Parts?
An Earthly Child, Eldrad Must Die.
Well, he got better.
He, you know what? I'm gonna blame.
improved.
I'm gonna blame JNC and them having to cut stuff from the script. I don't know who the script editor was at the time, but
Andrew Cartmel,
I didn't
more likely.
think. I thought.
Andrew Cartmel,
what was it?
he was a script editor.
Luke Garrell.
Luke
Yeah,
Garrell
Luke
was
Garrell,
not great.
It wasn't a good.
It was not
good.
He's
You
very
talked about-
disconnected, and he's got a certain writing style.
The way you talked
Now,
about Spare Parts, though.
No, Spare Parts is good.
Ooh, and something called The Three
We
Companions.
finally got it right. Let's move on to Fires of Pompeii. Or Fires of Vulcan. Sorry.
This is Fires of Pompeii. Sorry, that's the name of this episode. I don't know.
Fires of Vulcan.
I don't know who this Vulcan character is, but this is Fires of Pompeii.
I kind of like the title better.
I was a little dismayed that somebody in it called actually knew what a volcano was when Mel made the reference, because specifically in
They
Fires of
wouldn't have.
Pompeii, he says there's no word for volcano yet. This is what
Gives us the word.
gives us now
because
Vulcan.
of Vulcan.
Yeah, Vulcan.
The god of fire.
Yes, but
Which isn't that kind of
and somebody
redundant?
knew what
Fires of
volcano
Vulcan?
was, and that kind of bothered me. No, it's not a volcano; it's a mountain. Anyway, let's talk about it, because that was one of the few negative things of Fires of Vulcan.
2,000 years ago, a cataclysmic volcanic eruption wiped out the Roman city of Pompeii from the face of the earth. It also buried the Doctor's TARDIS. Arriving in Pompeii one day before the disaster, the Seventh Doctor and Mel find themselves separated from their ship and entangled in local politics. With time running out, they fight to escape from the shadow of Mount Vesuvius. But how can they succeed when history itself is working against them?
Dun dun dun.
Yay, that warms my heart.
I was so glad I liked this story,
I was too.
especially after watching Ghostlight.
Really? Did you listen to it after?
No, before.
I listened to it after, so I got to really wipe the taste to Ghostlight out of my
I did
mouth.
one of those things this week where I got to the end of Fires of Vulcan, yes, and went, oh good, I have something good to talk about this week.
Do you think Glenn has a not grumpy bear dance? Not gonna be grumpy bear.
I think it's similar to the
Is it similar to Gold Medal
Gold
Ribbon?
Medal Ribbon.
Oh, there's a throwback reference for you. We haven't
have-
had Gold Medal Ribbon since your old bedroom.
God, that was long ago.
Yeah.
That was when we were huddled around one microphone.
Huddled around one mic, first like 8 episodes.
That was really early.
So the Fires of Vulcan.
I don't have much
He said,
negative
changing the
Here's the funny
subject so he
thing.
wouldn't have to do the dance again.
I had to do my photo challenge for yesterday, which was least favorite companion. And I went through the list, and I thought I would end up using Chameleon,
Which I
and then you did. And so I thought, well,
because
I don't want to double up, because
initial
ultimately
thought was, where are you
Chameleon
going?
probably would be, but I come down on the side that I think it was same you posted
I
this. It was a great concept. It was poorly executed.
That's what I was explaining to Sarah when I was taking the picture.
But I went back and I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. I think, well, not only has Keith done it, but maybe I should go back to my original, which, if you remember, this is one of the several that I'm going to double up on, because when we did our Doctor Who challenge, my least favorite companion then was Melanie Bush. So it came to that, and the only thing this time was I went, this is tough, because I just listened to Fires of Vulcan, and I thoroughly loved Mel in this.
Well, and
Mel is getting the same thing with me that the Sixth Doctor got from me. In they got her character right in Big Finish. They fleshed her out. They made her a stronger female companion. They made her smarter than she comes across on TV. And her chemistry with the Doctor is so much better in the audios. Even better than, because I loved her in The One Doctor. This is even better.
She was
This
really
is-
good in The One
and
Doctor.
she's
That was
able
the
to
one where that
shine
made me turn
because
around.
they really play to all of her strengths. And to me, there's very little, even though he's in there a lot, but there's very little of the Seventh Doctor in this story. It's mostly centered around Mel. And so it was really tough to push that send button on my photo challenge because I think she still is down there. But I really think if I listen to more Big Finish audio with Mel in it, she's going to climb the charts. She's probably going to climb above a couple of
the one doctor
companions.
Changed my perceptions on Mel because I was very down on Mel.
Yeah.
And then if you notice during Trial of the Time Lord and then Dragonfire, I was not as down on Mel.
Yeah,
and I actually enjoyed her.
You were very impressed by her in the one story she's in on Trial of the Time Lord. Well,
Terror
she's
of the
in two.
Vervoids?
Terror of the Vervoids, the one she's on. Yeah,
that one and
that
Dragonfire.
impressed you, and I didn't know that Dragonfire.
Yeah, Dragonfire.
But I remember you
impressed
talking
me.
about Terror of the Vervoids. Impressed me.
And I think that's because I heard what she could be in the audio and was able to see those elements and look past the screaming, which I dislike so much. Because they don't have her scream
No, yeah.
at all.
Because you blow out your eardrums.
Oh, yeah. So Mel is just fantastic in this. And this was her first one.
Oh, was this? This is
One
her
doctor
first,
comes after
her
this.
First Big Finish story.
Good introduction for her to the
really
Big
was.
Finish.
So, for those of you out there that are thinking about introducing a friend to Classic Who, maybe it's not a bad idea to go ahead and start with an audio story. And then get it and see, okay, you remember that one you listened to? This is them fleshed out. Oh, wow. Cool.
I had to do the same thing that knowing what I know of Fires of Pompeii, I had to do the same thing and think, well, they just coincidentally never meet Donna and the 10th Doctor. And it almost, you can almost look at the Fires of Pompeii and tell, obviously retconning this in my head, but you can look at it now and tell that the 10th Doctor knew that he'd been there before. He knew the events, how everything's going to play out. But now he's in a different situation, you know. So and discovering that it's not a natural occurrence, but this time it was because of what's dwelling beneath, and he's the cause of the volcano.
See, I really like the fact
But I love
that there wasn't a lava monster in this one.
Oh, I agree. I love the fact that the Doctor is so. You notice this is purely historical.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean this is purely historical. And I love the fact that the Doctor, when he lands, I wondered so much at first why he is telling Mel that it's her choice. He was being kind of brooding, but he's telling Mel it's your choice whether we go out and what we do here.
Definitely knows more than he's letting on.
And I loved that. But I was thinking, what? That's weird. Why would the Doctor say things like that? And when it's revealed that his TARDIS was unearthed at Pompeii in his 5th incarnation, that he knew what his fate was. He knew what his destiny was. And I love that they played around with that idea of he didn't want to change things because he knew this was the end point. And then kind of Mel convincing him that, you know, we can change things, and him being reluctant because of the paradox that might happen and whatnot. And Chrissy made the comment that the paradox didn't work for her. There was no paradox.
Well, there ended up not being.
There wasn't,
but
because
that's what fascinated me through the entire
it
story.
Could have been a
how
paradox.
are they going to get out of this?
Yeah, exactly. And
that's
I kept wondering the whole time. Now, it wasn't a capture and escape for Mel. But it made her character interesting because she kept getting into situations and getting out of situations, and it allowed her to meet. The capture and escape worked really well because it allowed her to meet the people that were integral in her figuring out how to get her and the Doctor out of this, how to fix things, how to proceed. And I love the idea that the Doctor thinks he has sent her and what's the girl, Cassie? Oh, what was the girl's name?
Yeah, I believe it was Cassie.
I think it was Cassie.
Sending her and Cassie off, and they're out of town. They're going to be safe, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to find my TARDIS. And thinking
do you think
they're gone.
Okay, now do you really think he was going to look for the TARDIS, or do you think he was just telling her that and that he had resigned himself that still didn't?
At that point, he had that glimmer of, I think we maybe should do something or can do something. But on the flip side of that, they were running out of time. And so I think that, yes, there was some of that. I'm going to send her to safety, go back into town. If I happen to find my TARDIS, great. If not. But at that point, he had realized that his TARDIS couldn't be buried under that rubble. And I think that's the first moment that gives him the glimmer of hope.
See, and I bought that initially, and then first thing he bundles her up and sends her off, and she's like, "You'll join me?" He goes, yeah, I'll see you later. And it's kind of like, oh, you're jerking her chain. You
as-
don't know where the
when
TARDIS
she
was buried or
leaves-
not. You're just,
When she leaves, doesn't he say something to the effect of so long or farewell or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that?
And
And
then
it really kind of sets the
Sounds like
oh
goodbye.
gosh, yeah, this is it.
And I chalk all that up to the genius of Sylvester McCoy for being able, because I bought the fact that he was, you're right, I've been brooding, I'm not going to do this, let's hurry up and get some work done. And so it was like, okay, the Doctor's back and we're going to do this. And then he's very winsome when she leaves him, and it's like, oh, maybe not. Maybe
Yeah.
that was all this. So I
gathered
teetered
that,
back
too.
and forth on that. I really liked that. That's
Well, and we knew that he wasn't going to die there,
well.
obviously.
But you know what's interesting, and this is another thing I know. Like Chrissy pointed out that she knows that the Seventh Doctor and Mel have had other adventures, so she never really got to that. They're in great peril. As the story progressed, I began to run out of options for how they could get out
That's
of this.
my
Well,
thing.
yeah.
That's the beauty of this story is that Steve Lyons, by the way, Crooked World,
Oh, is it?
weaves such a nice story that I know that the Doctor has further adventures, but the mystery of how they're going to get out of this one is weaved so well throughout the story that's what kept me engaged. Yeah, I know they're going to get out, but I have no idea how. And I want to see where you take me and how we get there.
He also wrote Colditz
Yeah.
and several of the Doctor Who Adventures comic strips. And he's done several other audios, including Blood of the Daleks, which is part of the Eighth Doctor line, which I'll be curious to know what you guys think of when we get to it. So.
And he wrote Smoke and Mirrors,
Oh, that's right, the new one.
The Destiny of the Doctor.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
The
Fifth Doctor
one.
Yeah. Not his best work, but...
Wasn't as good as this. The other thing that I think made this work is the cast of characters. These are some genuinely cool characters, and you begin to like them, even though it's kind of like Titanic. In the back of your head, you're going, probably not going to make it out of this.
But I like the fact that he dropped the line at the end of, well, we don't know if they got to survive or not.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you hope that the characters you did like got to live on, and those that you didn't were killed.
We sort of get the impression that Cassie and the guy that ultimately helps her, the guy that was champion the Isis, the goddess Isis, I just in my mind, they got away and they lived happily ever after. They actually married and had kids and got away, and everything was great. So, and I like to think that one centurion that helped her ultimately, who she had conked in the head when they were trying to escape the second time, I think it was. Maybe it was the first time. And then he runs across her again and ends up giving her a chance because, this volcano's going off. So, and she convinces him that, if you lock me up again, I have no chance whatsoever. And so he does give her a chance. And just that little nugget of made me think, I hope he survives too. I hope he gets away as well. I really did. I thought, you know what?
I want to throw out special props to Brian Blessed Light.
I thought the same thing. I thought, you know what? If this was just a little bit more, this would have been Brian Blessed.
That is really cool artwork that they have on
artwork.
the TARDIS Wikio.
That's cool.
The gal that played the priestess, she was really good too.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I hated her, but boy, she was good.
Yet another
Wow.
long line of, you're the religious fanatic of
I
the
kept
piece.
shaking my fist at that woman, and I thought, wow, Stephen Lyons and this actress, if you can make me feel this for her, you've done a good job with that character. And she was just right down to the end. Her gods were going to save her, and her slaves weren't going anyway. They were still going to serve her. Oh, my gosh.
We were listening to this. We found a new way to do Big Finish, by the way, puzzles.
Oh, that's a good way.
yeah.
That's the perfect way to listen to. Mel and I we were working on a new puzzle, so we were staying up late and we were listening to this. And even we got to that point, she's like, carry my artwork downstairs. What are you doing? If this was a blah, blah, if any of this is broken. And Mel's going, conk, conk, conk. And I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, I'm waiting for the ceiling to fall on this bit. So, when Mel makes that kind of comment, you're like, yeah, we got it, And then it went, and she was like, yeah.
There it is.
That's what we were waiting for. But, and then I the barmaid I really liked. But I think you're kind of supposed to like her, even though she's very transparent with the, have a drink. You really ought to have a drink. Wouldn't you like to have a drink? You should have a drink. It's like, come on, lady. You're kind of telegraphing
and
the
her
move
siding
here.
with Brian Blessed Light, and but also having sympathy for the Doctor. So she's treading that line, between the two. And not really taking a side, but sort of favoring one or the other at any time that's convenient for her.
And I was so worried that Brian Blessed Light was going to be the stereotypical brute, you know, because he's a gladiator and he's this and he's that. And he kind of starts off with, you know, you've bested me my honor, and I'm going to kill you, and this kind of stuff. I was like, oh, here we go. But then later, when he has the very quiet conversation with the barmaid
as
about
to why
this, I cannot allow my reputation to die because I
debt.
live on that.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, this is a really well fleshed out guy.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
You know, that was cool.
And bravo for setting that up that way, because by developing a character in such a way that you think, oh, this is that typical, oh, hey, surprise.
Oh, look,
Surprise.
there's more to him there. Yeah.
Now, admittedly, we did get down to a fisticuffs match in the arena during the volcano going off. It's like, oh, you couldn't have timed that any better.
Which, that's one thing I really liked about this story also, is when, in Fires of Pompeii, the volcano's starting to go, they TARDIS out of there. I liked hearing what they were going through and struggling against the ash.
Oh, and the
all of that stuff was so interesting to listen to, because I never really thought, oh, yeah, it rained ash for 12 hours before the actual lava came.
Right,
wow,
right.
I never realized
well,
that.
and even the description is like, you know, Pompeii was wiped from the earth, and it's like, not really.
No, it was buried.
It was buried,
and preserved.
You know, but just
the fact that people
I think
suffocated from ash.
Yeah.
Pompeii was
instead
wiped
of-
from the earth is the civilization as we know it, as anyone.
Well, yeah,
knew it,
but I mean,
was wiped from
when
the
you
earth.
use the expression, it was wiped from the face
and
of
it
the
was,
earth,
because
you get the
nobody knew it
impression
was there for millennia.
Right,
Yeah.
but you get the impression that it was just destroyed, that there was a blast.
For centuries.
Pompeii erupted, you know, Vesuvius erupted, and Pompeii was destroyed. That's kind of the sanitized version that you just, that's how it happened.
Right.
You imagine almost like a nuclear blast.
Yeah, it just,
more than
wow,
ash,
and that was it.
And
But I love the fact that they pulled a Titanic with this. In that, one of the things I've always admired about the movie Titanic is that we get this very dry, clinical, scientific explanation for how the ship sinks at the very beginning. And then later you live through the horror of that, and it's almost in the back of your mind that it's ticking off, and now this is going to happen, and now this is where the ship breaks in two, and now this is this. And I thought Steve Lyons did a great job with that, because the Doctor gives a fairly, there's the superheated ash clouds coming, it will rain fire and brimstone, it will do this, and 12 hours later all the people who are trapped in their homes are going to be this, and you know, that's not, and then it starts happening, and you're there with them, and it's just, that was one of the highlights I thought of this, is the way this climaxed was just awesome. Just, I really, really like it.
And I love the vehicle of getting out of and around the fact that the TARDIS was unearthed. And it was because he had to, basically at the time that it was happening, was becoming encased, had to basically go into the future and transport themselves to that time so that they could discover the TARDIS, dig it up there, they sneak off, then they come back and take the TARDIS back later. I mean, it was fantastic.
And the fact that they had to wait 3 days or
3
however
days
long for the lava to form over
around it. Yeah, I thought that was terrific.
Which really in the TARDIS happened.
And didn't create a paradox whatsoever,
Would you
and
guys
could
really
have
be bored?
initially just happened that way.
It sounded like they were quite bored for
It
those
did
3 days.
make it sound like
You're
that
in
they
the
were quite
TARDIS!
bored. Yeah,
Go swim!
There's
Go
all
read the
kinds
book!
of things to do.
What are we going to do today?
Well, what would you like to do?
Well, there's still lava outside. Break out the Monopoly board. The one downfalling there.
Yeah.
That and the idea.
I suppose it would feel like, if you're a traveler and adventurer, it would feel like being snowed in at school, you know. Or, you know,
Oh, look,
we can't even go to
vacation
recess
from the
because we
drama.
you had to have indoor recess, which was always horrid to me. I hated indoor
I
recess.
never
recess
minded
sucked.
indoor recess.
Oh, I hated it
Indoor recess sucks.
because there was very limited things to do in that classroom.
We had a bunch of games in our class.
Yeah, but then you
That's-
had to find a kid to
then-
play with.
Then
I
when
had
you've
friends.
had a snowstorm that lasts for an entire week, I don't know if you guys had one of those. We had a snowstorm that lasted an entire week when I lived in Liberal. Or I guess I was in Garden City at the time.
And I'd like to point out
And
to
we
all you
had to
kids
be-
at home, we were still in school when that snowstorm hit for a whole week.
Yes, we were. That was 3 recesses a day
I don't think we had 3 a day.
for 5 days inside. Yeah, we had a morning recess, one after lunch, and one in the
I
afternoon.
think we only had
That's
2,
3
maybe.
recesses, 5 days out of the week. That's 15 recesses. We played most of those games once, twice, 3 times, and then by the end of the week, we were bored out of our minds. That's what it would be like.
How do I say this? The line about it's only cheating if you get caught.
Which pays off in the end, that's ultimately what he does.
You know what? That's Moffat's motto. That's exactly what they said. But you're lying to these people. It's only lying if you get caught. That's exactly what he said about the missing episodes.
But we caught him.
Well, now he's lying, isn't he?
Well, the Doctor got caught too.
That's true.
Oh, it was there.
Not in that one.
Have we ever
Just
had
another
a one line? Oh, we come from ISIS. Don't tell anybody. Wow, did that spiral out of control? Just bam, 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 bam.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even that.
That haunted him all the way.
I know.
It's
all
not
the way
even
to the
that
end.
he said we're from ISIS. It's that he went along with the idea that he thought they were from ISIS.
But here's the problem is the Doctor tells that one guy,
Yeah.
and then it spreads. And
then Mel uses the same excuse. So now not only have we done this one telephone action, we've caused two.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I love the bit with the Doctor chastising her for saying that. And he's like, I just did what you did. Well, you should.
Because, quite honestly, had that rumor spread from just the Doctor saying it to who he said it to,
She would have been in a lot less trouble.
well, the priestesses needed to validate it. And who validated it for her?
No.
It was,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that ultimately validates it for her. So had it just been that one stream of we came from ISIS, that probably would have got shut down. But when Mel ends up letting that out of the bag and trying the same tactic, it validates it from another side. So that's why I think the Doctor was concerned, because he knew that that's what could happen.
For me, this was like, it would have been like watching Rose get smacked down for claiming that she had fought something on Raxophal Corpus.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you didn't. It doesn't count. I liked the fact that they get into trouble for that.
Yeah.
And I further like the fact that not only does it impede, what's going on with the story, but then later when Mel's going through her series of captures and escapes, then she can't convince the guy that something bad's actually happening. Well, you've lied to me before. Oh, come on.
Right, yeah.
I just can't catch a break. So I was a little worried that they were going to go the route of the story arc that we're all kind of complaining about the last couple of weeks about, the creeper in town has picked up on you and now he's visiting you at the whorehouse. It's like, really? We're going to go.
Thought it was
But they kind of, it was still there, but
right.
it was a different.
It was very sidelined for everything.
Comparatively, it was. So I was glad that was. I can't really find much to complain about with this one.
There's great things in this,
and I think you can fan retcon. What's the Pompeii one?
Fires of Pompeii.
Is it Fires of Pompeii? So Fires of Vulcan.
I know. That's why I keep calling this Fires of Pompeii,
wow. Okay.
because it's Fires of Vulcan and Fires of Pompeii.
So I think you can retcon Fires of Pompeii with the Doctor knowing that he's been here before and what maybe districts to stay out of, because he knows that they're over here doing
Pompeii
this.
wasn't a small city,
and I got to go back now and watch and see if there are any moments that David Tennant begins to get legitimately concerned that maybe this is where the TARDIS gets buried and he screwed up earlier. Because now I'm curious to know if that's there. Maybe he figures I've already fixed that paradox.
Right,
but wouldn't it be ironic if yet another down the road we've excavated yet another section of Pompeii and they went, wait a minute, what do you mean there's another police box here? There are two of them? Okay, somebody's playing a prank. What's the deal? Get Unit on the horn. What are you guys doing to us?
All right, well, what's coming up on the schedule next week, Sean?
Coming up on the schedule, our countdown for Friday Night Who continues with the Doctors. We're going to number 6. And you know what that means? Don't you?
Vengeance on Varos?
Vengeance on Varos.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Twin Dilemma.
They would throw things at us if I scheduled those two back-to-back, apparently. At least Glenn would. By the way, do you have Vengeance?
Break things.
Do you have Vengeance of Eros on the? Because I think you skipped it and went to 5. I think 5 is the next.
Did I skip 5? I'll look at my schedule.
There's one that I thought was missing. Maybe not, but since you've been handling posting those, I thought I would let you know that I noticed that was missing. Sorry, a little on-air laundry there for you. So we've got Vengeance on Varos for our Friday night.
Those posts aren't pre-scheduled. I do that every Friday.
Sure you do. And then, of course, we've already reviewed Vengeance on Varos. So on the show next week, that will enable us to spend the whole time talking about the Ninth Doctor, because this is the Ninth Doctor month. We're back on track with our 50th anniversary, so we will have our look at Doctor Who Revisited, number 9, and the 50th anniversary discussion of the Ninth Doctor era. So there's still time to vote. The poll is up on our website. Make sure you go and pick an Eccleston episode as most representative. What?
I'm trying to decide if I watched.
I have not yet.
Okay.
I give you a hint, though. You know who's not in it. Eric Roberts.
I can give you 3 hints of who's not in it.
Eric Roberts.
And Julia. Julia Roberts is not
Julia
in it.
Roberts is not in it either.
Maybe you should rewatch it.
Maybe I should. Did I watch it?
I don't know.
Did I tell you that I watched it?
Not that I remember.
Oh, my memory
I watched
stinks.
this.
Man, my memory sucks. This is terrible. I can't remember if I watched it or not.
Oh, darn. You're going to have to watch a 30-minute special again.
This is what happens when you change my scheduling.
It's true, because I've been ahead of myself for a long time because of your scheduling.
So then, and then the following week is the 5th Doctor on Friday Night Who with Warriors of the Deep. We're going to get the Merca. Yay, the Merca. And I actually need to find some things to review then, because we don't have much in the way of shows. I've got Friday Night Who planned out almost to the end of the year, but the shows are kind of like, I don't know what's going on yet. So we'll get it posted.
Yeah, we'll have something.
We'll keep you posted. You know what we're going to talk about next
How
week?
about enemy of the
Next week we're going to talk about the next.
That week?
We're going to talk about the next 2 episodes they found.
Let's talk about. Let's put enemy of the. If we really don't have it scheduled, although
No.
maybe you want to wait till it comes out.
Well, no, that's just it. Is that I'm fine with, and Chrissy brought this up too. Is when are we going to put these on the schedule now that they're and I'm fine with it. I'm dying. I'm chomping at the bit to get to them. Especially since we're getting.
But there are going to be people that are
Yeah.
only saving their money for the DVD.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I recognize, as much as I want people to buy this in Netflix, I recognize there's people that just can't do that. So maybe we should wait till it's.
The problem is that under the new Friday Night Who format, these are both 6-parters, which would be 2 weeks.
True.
So unless you
And
think
we've stopped reviewing television stories.
That's
that
true.
aren't part of Friday Night
We'd have
Who.
to put it on a Friday Night Who.
Yeah.
Because that's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
And we've already got those scheduled out until
Well,
November.
we've got a Trouton coming up. We could very easily go.
Oh, that's
boop,
true.
and put it there.
No,
but
you can't because it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it would be 2 weeks, and that would
Unless we
throw it off.
broke our rule and did.
All 6.
Now,
all 6.
which one's Web of Fear? So we could conceivably do Web of Fear because it's only 5 episodes with. I mean, do you get the full telesnaps?
Yeah,
Is
you
it 20
full
minutes? So that's
you
still,
get a 20,
it's still 6
get
parts.
a 20. You'd still
Okay.
get a 20-minute episode.
Yeah. See, I didn't know that there's a.
No. I mean,
It's like you can almost fudge Ice Warriors since there were 2 parts missing.
well,
and
and
they condensed it
if we're
down
going to do
a
a great intelligence adversary archive, we should wait and do
That's
Web of
true.
Fear in that because we usually do one that we watch or
yeah.
listen to. In this
At
case,
the very least.
Yeah.
at the very least.
I would, if everybody's just asking, yes, I would love to get these on the schedule. I don't know that they're going to work with the format that we've set up for our countdown leading up to the anniversary. So
We're giving you something
Now,
to look forward
after
to
that-
buying the DVD.
after that, all bets are off. We can get them on there pretty much any time at that
Yeah.
point, but we'll figure something out. So there's that.
All right. Well, is there anything else house cleaning we need to do?
Make sure you go and download them. I had a actually comment. I don't know if you saw while you were on your soapbox saying you should go buy these from iTunes. I bought.
Oh, you
I
did.
sat here on the show and bought my 2. I bought
Yay.
both of them from iTunes and I posted a picture.
Well, send me proof, and I won't put you in the. All right. Well, I won't put you in the drawing because you disqualified.
Yeah. Well, somebody commented on it, and I'm not sure if I want to
be
read
fair-
this comment or not.
He's getting ready to click buy.
Okay.
So he has, according to that picture, he
I
hasn't
haven't
bought it
bought
yet.
them
Oh
yet, but
yeah, you
they're-
haven't
they're
convinced
mine,
me.
He needed to do an Instagram video.
Actually,
Oh,
you know what?
that's right.
I'm going to read this comment, and I'm going to omit the name to protect the innocent or the guilty in this case. But the comment is, I torrented them. Seemed the right thing to do, seeing as how they didn't seem to care about the value in them when they wiped the tapes originally. If they really wanted to not be expletives, they could have just uploaded them for free. It's like throwing something away, someone else proving to you it was a tragedy, and then taking it upon themselves to find it for you so you could charge people to come look at it.
Oh, is that on Facebook?
That's hardly fair, and I'm going to dispute that because
I agree
that's hardly fair because when they wiped these 40 plus years ago, they had no idea that people were going to want to see these things again. There was no DVDs, there were no VHS, there was nothing. There was no home market for this. And it was a common practice for both ITV and the BBC to wipe them and save money because they were a public entity in order to make room to do other stories, to things that were new and coming
and
up.
I understand that part of it, which I'd never thought of before, but apparently part of it was there was an actors guild that was involved because they didn't want anything recorded from the standpoint that if the BBC or ITV or whoever, if you ever wanted to rebroadcast something, their point of view is you ought to pay the actors to come back in and reperform it if you're going to rebroadcast it.
Well, that's why royalties and residuals have come up, because in the United States, reruns became very common in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. That just became common because they realized they had a syndication market. And they were able to sell ads again on things that were already done. So they created the royalties. And royalties were every time that it aired somewhere, those actors got residuals.
Right.
Now, that wasn't probably a common practice in the UK, and that's probably why that came down to that. But that's not a fair statement to say that, well, you owe that to me, because I guarantee whoever posted that probably is not from the UK.
No.
And they probably weren't even around at the time that those were wiped. So you don't deserve anything. So don't give me that.
I kind
no
of
different
sort
than
of
releasing the broadcast television episodes on DVD,
and then me going and buying them later.
I kind
now
of
you're getting
sort
a little
of,
something more for that in her defense.
I can kind of sort of understand the idea that it's like I threw it away. It was trash. I mean, literally, that's what they consider. It's not that they're, it's trash. We're throwing it away. We don't want it. We don't need it. Somebody else convinced you it was worth something, and so now you're charging for the trash that you threw away. Okay, I can kind of sort of buy that argument. But for all of the same reasons that Glenn pointed out earlier, because we, as fans, have decided that there is a cultural heritage, that this is something that's important to us, and we would like them to find more, I'm willing to pay for it twice. I was willing to buy the DVD, absolutely. I'm willing to pay for it twice because I agree with you that I think these funds are going to go in there, and if they can be used to clean something else up, to animate something else that's missing, or to find something that's missing, I'm fine with donating my funds that way. And if there are people out there that feel differently and you're adamant about not buying it, okay, that's your prerogative, certainly. But don't rain on everybody else's parade.
Well, don't go steal it. Making a point with theft is dumb. Sorry. It is. Making a point with theft is dumb.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't agree with it. So. All
right. Well, wish we could have ended on a happier note. But if that's it for this week, until next week. Why did you read that?
I thought it was important.
I'm glad it was.
Oh, really? You're not mad at me?
No, it's fine.
Glenn's a grumpy.
I'm only mad because I'm grumpy now. I'm not mad because he read it.
Look at the bright side.
Fires of Vulcan.
Look at the bright side. This time next year, we'll be sitting around and you'll be eating crow over how right I was, that all those episodes showed up and all those doctors were in the 50th.
I'm not saying that I'm not disputing.
It doesn't matter.
Yes.
There are more.
It does.
No, it doesn't. They've got more.
I'm not disputing the lost episodes because I fall down on the side that they may be setting on them. The one that I come down hard on and that I think you're absolutely wrong, but wish you were right, is that there are classic doctors.
There are classic doctors in the 50th.
Although we just did find out that somebody else is in the 50th, that they kept that secret for quite a while. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Well, David Tennant's not in it until you see it on TV, Keith. That's how you work. So I'm not so worried about
the BBC announced that when TV or when the BBC announces.
That's not what you've said.
I changed my stance to BBC announcers.
The BBC has announced that Matt Smith's leaving, and you've admittedly admitted that it's not happening.
Different.
No, you've admitted it's not happening.
I didn't adamantly admit that it's not happening. I adamantly admitted that I am in denial that it's happening.
Same thing.
Let me try to sign off one more time. I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
50th anniversary's gonna have some classic doctors in it, and you heard it here. Do.
That needs to be part of your feedback service.
Only if it's true.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.